On the first one, up there, where the secretaries are. Just say, right, can you control? Control around two. You got score sheets over there? You got score sheets over there?
Really? Huh?
Thank you, Mac. You've always got that sign you have to answer on the rattle when you open up. Right, David? You right? Yeah. Are they right upstairs?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about underway here this afternoon, this morning, with our semi-final, the semi-final of the most exciting event of the entire year. It is semi-final time, Willinga Park, the Ringers Western Wear semi-final, 114 competitors. After two grueling rounds, we started with 368 competitors here. The elusive $100,000 first prize winner's cheque will be paid out here on Saturday afternoon, so it gets serious from here on in. Our first competitors, we look down the list, are starting to make their way into the camp.
So our first competitor in is number 1, Troy Palmer with Willinga Metallic Wildcat. This is a Willinga Park horse, and this is a great moment to say what a wonderful place to be at Terry and Jeanette's Willinga Park. All of the Willinga Park cattle will be used throughout the entire event, so every time you see a beast on the grounds, it is owned by Terry and Jeanette Snow. Great way to start. First competitor in is a Willinga Park horse. Standing by, number 2, Mark Buttsworth, number 3, Hugh Miles.
Well, the first contestant we see, Troy Palmer, Willinga Metallic Wildcat. 5-year-old mare by Metallic Cat out of the Warwick Gold Cup winner, Lyra Park Delta. Was the winner of the inaugural Janat Plains Maiden Campdraft in 2023. Troy's been a finalist here on many, many occasions. He'll be looking to finish in our top 25 today.
Mark Buttsworth, you'll be next in, following Troy with Nonda Southern Cross. And can I just give you a little bit of information? Lauren just tells me 9 out of the 13 semi-finals back into the semi-final are Willinga Park horses. How amazing.
We're watching on course Troy Palmer, and Troy has won many of the majors throughout Australia in the last 10 or 15 years. Has been instrumental working alongside Terry Snow's team here for many years to develop this world-class facility, a camp drafting operation, and of course it's great to see him representing Willinga Park with Metallic Wildcat. Our first contestant to complete the course.
And we'll have a score coming through very shortly for Troy Palmer and Willinga Metallic Wildcat. Mark Buttsworth is on camp with Nonda Southern Cross. Standing by, number 3, Hugh Miles. That was a cutout of 16.33, horsework 62.67, 4 for the course for a total of 83 points. That was Troy Palmer and Willinga Park's Metallic Wildcat.
Well, Mark Buttsworth, whether off and running as typical Marks Buttsworth run on camp with Nondo's Southern Cross. 13-year-old stallion by Acres Destiny, stood for many years at Tamarang by Richard Bull outside of Tamworth. Out of Nonda Happy Ever After, won the Nutrient Open and Stallion Drafts. He's also been a winner at Warwick. We are watching Nonda Southern Cross and Mark Buttsworth in action. We are underway. It's semi-final time, looking to bring back the top 25 qualifiers from this round for the grand final tomorrow afternoon. Well, a typical Mark Buttsworth performance here on day number 3 of competition, looking to stay in touch with the leaders in this competition.
And score for Mark Buttsworth and Nonda's Southern Cross. Cut out 23.67, horsework 64, course 4, for a total of 91.67. That's a 91.67. Hugh Miles is our next competitor on camp with Connie. This is his own nomination. Standing by number 4, Ben Hall, number 5, Pete Comiskey, 6, Matthew Moffat, 7, Cameron Webster.
A little horse that we're watching on this occasion, Connie. It's a novice mare by Mianonic Chick out of an open mare called Turner's Stud Cowgirl. Huey has been a prominent figure here at Willinga for many years. He's one of Australia's unique horsemen, but unfortunately today, as things didn't go as planned in this round of the competition for Connie and Hugh Miles.
And that was a cutout score of 21.67, 21.67 for Hugh Miles and Connie. Ben Hall is on camp with Chisholm's Cash, standby number 5, Pete Comiskey, Raunchy Dad, 6, Matthew Moffat, 7, Cameron Webster.
Well, as our next contestant makes his way into the camp all the way down from Julia Creek, it's great to see the Hall name certainly a part of the Willinga finals and semi-finals this weekend. Ben Hall, Mum and Dad, Terry and Christine, have been here on numerous occasions. He was born into royalty when it comes to the world of camp drafting. His entire family for 3 or 4 generations have been at the top of the equine industry Australia-wide. And, well, Ben has certainly, he and his lovely wife Jay have done a great job as far as developing these horses, their business and their profile in the sport of camp drafting. Ben, as he does each and every year, he's got a 40-foot trailer, brings a truckload of horses here to Willinga. And, of course, his name features on finals day each and every year. Another picture-perfect performance from a man that stands high in status in the sport of camp drafting Australia-wide. That was, indeed, on that occasion, Ben Hall riding Chisholm's Cash.
We have a score for Ben Hall and Chisholm's Cash. Cut out 22.67, horsework 64.33, 4 for the course for a total of 91. It's a 91-point round for Ben Hall and Chisholm's Cash. Pete Comiskey is now in camp, number 5, with Raunchy Dad. Standby number 6, Matthew Moffat, 7, Cameron Webster.
We're watching on course this time, Pete Comiskey, number 5 in the competition, riding Raunchy Dad. Now, this is Jordan McDowell's nomination. Joins us from Nebo in central Queensland. He's been a 2-time previous winner, 3-time winner, I do believe, of this particular competition. And, of course, Peter is familiar with that winner's check and that $100,000 first prize in this particular competition. Pete Comiskey and Raunchy Dad.
Score for Pete Comiskey and Raunchy Dad, cut out 22.67. Horsework 61.67, course 4 for a total of 88.34. Sorry, that's an 88.33. 88.33 for Pete Comiskey and Raunchy Dad. In our watch, competitor number 6, Matthew Moffat, and Snapchat, standby number 7, Cameron Webster, 8, Matt Holes, 9, John Turvey.
We're watching on course Matt Moffat, Snapchat. Now, this is B&B Comiskey's nomination. A horse called Snapchat Well, Matt had an outstanding 2 days of competition in the qualifying rounds. He just needs to stay cool and stay focused on the job at hand, because we start from scratch here on day number 3 of competition. It's all about building a profile from today forward. We need a good score in this round of the competition. And Matt has certainly lost none of that class from the previous 2 days of competition. Once again, performs that full course. 4 points will come through for that part of the competition. Matt Moffat at number 6 in our final, in the semi-final here today of the Ringers Western Wear. Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship. And of course, don't forget the Rawhide Saddlery. The John Bergen saddle will be presented also to the winner of this event.
And we have a score for Matthew Moffat and Snapchat of cut out of 23, horsework 62.33 in course 4. It's a total of 89.33. That's an 89.33 for Matthew Moffat and Snapchat. Cameron Webster comes out on course at number 7, riding Bob. Standby number 8, Matt Holes.
Well, it is Cameron Webster's opportunity on this occasion. Representing their family, Cameron and Sarah Webster from Wandon in Queensland has also been a competitor that has been here on several different occasions. It is going to be a cluster at the top in the scoring when it comes to this event. Run after run, these livestock and cattle from Willinga Pastoral have done a great job thus far, and they seem to get better and better. And another full course in this round of the competition. It is an event and a classic competition. Fortunately, we do have the 3 judges here trying to break down the scoring system. We welcome back Wayne Smith from Tamworth, David Reeder from Gameri, and Tom Williamson from Glen Innes as our officials adjudicating here this weekend.
And we have a score for Cameron Webster and Bob, cut out 22.33, horsework 61.33, 4 for the course, a total of 87.67. That's an 87.67 for Cameron Webster and Bob. 8 is on camp, Matt Holes with Nonda Last Frontier. Standby number 9, John Turvey. Number 10, Josh Barnett.
Well, here is a man that won this competition back in 2022. We welcome back to Willinga, Matt Holtz, Nonda Last Frontier. Graham and Jody Ronsky's nomination from Gindra. And of course, Matt grew up in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales around the Scone region. Nowadays spends most of his life down in the Gindra district.
They've just brought that up. Score for Matt Holtz and Nonda Last Frontier, cut out 18.33. 18.33 for Matt Holtz and Nonda Last Frontier. Number 9 now on camp, John Turvey with Willinga Park Fable. This is Terry Snow's nomination. This is John Turvey with Willinga Park Fable. Number 10 goes on camp, Josh Barnett with Duck Dynasty.
Well, I know personally John and Andrew Turvey have done a great job working side by side with the Willinga Park team, and they've helped certainly put this event together with their livestock and their experience in developing camp drafting events competition. John's really going to put some pressure on this gate to see if he can get him bent. Has done so, and run after run, the Willinga Park livestock certainly proving to be very, very competitive. And to Mr. Terry Snow from Willinga Park, that is Willinga Park Fable, and John Turvey in the saddle.
Score for competitor number 9, John Turvey and Willinga Park Fable, owned by Terry and Jeanette Snow, has a cutout score of 21.33. Horsework 64.33, 4 for the course for a total of 89.67. 89.67 for John Turvey, Willinga Park Fable. Out on course now, competitor number 10, Josh Barnett and Duck Dynasty. Standby number 11, Ben McNaughton, 12, Carl Green.
As we watch this man on action, this is Josh Barnett from Singleton. He's a former ABCRA most successful open rider in camp drafting competitions. He was a Willinga Gold Buckle runner-up champion here, beaten less than, I believe, about a half a point 2 years ago. And he's also a Sydney Royal Easter Show camp drafting champion. He was in the top 5 in 5 consecutive years at the Royal Easter Show there in Sydney. That was Josh Barnett. Today, riding Ducks Dynasty, representing Rebecca Roberts and Josh's entry from Singleton.
And we have a score for Josh Barnett and Ducks Dynasty, competitor number 10, 20.67 for cutout, 62.67 horsework, 4 for the course for a total of 87.33. 87.33 for Josh Barnett and Ducks Dynasty. Ben McNaughton is on course. He's number 11 with Tiptoe. Standby number 12, Carl Green.
Well, Ben certainly comes from a great family of bloodlines as far as camp drafting is concerned. Of course, Mum and Dad, Bruce and Julie McNaughton, are based there in the country music city of Tamworth, and they've certainly produced another world-class camp drafting competitor here with this young man, Ben McNaughton, riding Tiptoe, and it's great to have Ben down here this weekend from Walker in northern New South Wales.
A score for Ben McNaughton and Tiptoe, cut out 20.67, horsework 62.67, 4 for the course for a total of 87.33. 87.33 for Ben McNaughton and Tiptoe. Next competitor is number 12, Carl Green and Federer. Standby 13, Rowan Marks, 14, Pete Comiskey, 15, Hugh Miles.
Well, as we move on down the list, it is indeed, we welcome down from Walker once again. They actually travelled down together, Ben McNaughton and Carl Green, from the northern New England region of New South Wales. Carl has also been a former elite rider in the ABCRA ranks as far as camp drafting concerned. Had a very successful and decorated career in the sport of rodeo, an Australian all-round champion in saddle bronc riding and bull riding. But tonight it's more focused on making that short round and final here at Willinga. Unfortunately for Carl and Fedora, we'll take a no score in this round. I should say a camp score only. That nomination by Jessica Wickham, the owner of that particular horse.
So as Glenn said, there's just a camp score for Carl Green and Federer. That was a cutout of 18.33. 18.33 for Carl Green and Federer. Rowan Marks now looking over his cattle as competitor 13, riding Turner Marks linesman. Standby 14, Peter Comiskey, 15, Hugh Miles.
As our next contestant selects his beast from the back of the camp, we're watching on camp at this stage, number 13. This is Turner Marks linesman. Well, as we've seen so many full courses, it's going to pretty much take a great run. You're going to need to be in that mid to high 80s to make through to the top 25 here for that opportunity to progress through and win that $100,000 winner's check. It is brought to us this year by Ringers Western Wear in conjunction with Foresight, one of our partners throughout the course of the competition. And it's good to see so many of Australia's elite horsemen vying for that opportunity here this afternoon, as Rowan Marks does with Turner Marks linesman. Makes his home in Charlwood.
And we have a score for Rowan Marks of Turner Marks linesman, cut out 21.33, horsework 61.33, 4 for the course for a total of 86.67. 86.67 for Rowan Marks and Turner Marks linesman. Pete Comiskey is now on camp with Binner Wisdom, standby number 15, Hugh Miles, 16, Luke Morgan, 17, Brendan Fitzgerald.
Well, this is a little horse that's been nominated this weekend in the competition by Jay McDowell. Pete Comiskey, 3 times previous winner of this competition. He knows today's all about building some momentum into the finals. He fully understands the pressures that come with the sport in this competition. Unfortunately, cuts that first peg here today, and with the scores that have already been posted, Binner Wisdom is not going to make through to that short round and final here tomorrow afternoon.
So we have a cutout score of 21.33. 21.33 for Pete Comiskey and Binner Wisdom. Hugh Miles is on camp at 15 with Smooth Talker. This is a Willinga Park horse. Standing by then, number 16, Luke Morgan, number 17, Brendan Fitzgerald, number 18, Matthew Moffat. But we watch now, competitor 15, Hugh Miles riding Smooth Talker, owned by Willinga Park.
Well, over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been a part of this event for Mr. Terry Snow, Hugh Miles has been one of the men that's featured in the finals. He's always made through to that big event, and of course, luck just hasn't been on his side. Let's hope today things can turn a little positive. Smooth Talker is a beautiful big black horse that is certainly one that is capable of taking that $100,000 winner's check. I know that Terry will be watching very, very closely, of course, on his monitor and keeping an eye on the process of this competition. We certainly wish him all the very best in the days to come, and let's hope that Hugh Miles can steer this one through that gate and get him back for the finals here on Sunday. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Hugh Miles from Tamworth in northern New South Wales, riding another one of our Willinga pastoral horses called Smooth Talker.
We have a score for Hugh Miles and Smooth Talker, cut out 23.67. Horsework 60, course 4 for a total of 87.67. That's an 87.67 round for Hugh Miles and Smooth Talker. 16 now goes out on course. Luke Morgan with Corey. Into the camp should be 17, Brendan Fitzgerald.
Well, there was Luke Morgan from Tamworth in northern New South Wales. Corey was the horse that he was on that occasion. 12-year-old Conman Gelding, still a novice horse. Luke only started camp drafting 2 years ago. And, of course, we'll see him back a little later on in this final semi-final of the competition.
And that was a cutout of 22. 22 only there for Luke and Corey. Next competitor 17, Brendan Fitzgerald and Rain Man. Standing by number 18, Matthew Moffat. 19, Mark Buttsworth. 20, Troy Palmer. 21, Richard Barnett.
Well, as Brendan Fitzgerald makes his way into the camp, makes that selection. Little horses by Dulray out of One More Romance. Horses already progressed through the competitions, has won a maiden and novice draft thus far in competition, and would love to step it up here this weekend in competition. Brendan is another one of our interstate visitors, has made the journey down from Roma in a beautiful part of the southeast Queensland. Well, we self-navigate that first peg in fine style. Once again, starting to build a little momentum up to make certain that we get around that second peg, head towards that gate. And, of course, the livestock here this weekend have been running and performing well. That gate set to the left moves in, and once again we're going to see one of our Roma contestants. On that occasion, Brendan Fitzgerald riding Rain Man complete our course here in the semi-finals of the Ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship.
So we'll have a score very shortly for Brendan Fitzgerald and Rain Man, competitor number 17. Cut out 15.67, horsework 61, course 4 for a total of 80.67. 80.67 round for Brendan Fitzgerald and Rain Man. 18's on camp, Matthew Moffat with She Be a Cat. Standing by 19, Mark Buttsworth, Stylish Abilene. 20, Troy Palmer's Bad and Black. 21, Richard Barnett's Ophir Whisper. And 22 will be Alice Croker and Titan.
Okay, we're off on course. It is indeed Matt Moffat. She Be a Cat makes his home in Canberra, and he will be looking once again to make certain that he gets a handful of horses through to that top 25. And the way that he's riding here this weekend, he's been nothing but on song, on fire when it comes to full coursing and making that every post a winner when he slides up. Little horses working overtime, but Matthew Moffat, She Be a Cat, lines up that gate, heads straight through and makes it look so easy. Has once again completed that full course. That's Matthew Moffat joining us here this year from Canberra.
Score for Matt Moffat and She Be a Cat, cut out 22.67, horsework 61, course 4 for an 87.67. 87.67 for Matthew Moffat, She Be a Cat. This is number 19 on camp, Mark Buttsworth with a Stylish Abilene. Standing by then 20, Troy Palmer, Bad and Black, 21, Richard Barnett.
Well, Mark has certainly been one of the most decorated camp drafting competitors Australia has seen, not only camp drafting, but as a horseman, whether it be in the cutting pen or the camp drafting field, has won some of the major events throughout Australia, the Big Paradise Lagoons camp drafting, Warwick Gold Cups. He has been and seen it all, and he would have nothing more to add to his trophy cabinet. A beautiful Rawhide trophy saddle here from Willinga Park. Riding on this occasion, Mark Buttsworth with Stylish Abilene, representing Mark and Rebecca Buttsworth from Kingaroy. On that occasion was number 19 in the draw.
Score for Mark Buttsworth and Stylish Abilene, cut out 23.33, horsework 62.33, 4 for the course for an 89.67. 89.67 for Mark Buttsworth and Stylish Abilene. This is a Willinga Park horse also. This is one of Terry and Jeanette's horses, Bad in Black, ridden today by Troy Palmer. Comes in as competitor number 20. Stand by 21, Richard Barnett.
Well, certainly this is one of the elite horses from the Willinga Park. It was purchased at an Australia record price over $500,000 at Nutrien back in 2022. It is a horse that's certainly been taking places. It has won the maiden draft earlier in its career back at Cooler in 2023. It is certainly a horse that a lot of people have seen progress in early on in its career, and it's certainly at 5 years of age is going to go a long, long way in the sport of camp drafting. Troy Palmer has also been a previous runner-up in this event over the last 5-6 years. And representing Willinga Park means a lot to Troy here this weekend. It would love to do so well. Time.
Score for Troy Palmer and Bad in Black, cut out 22, horsework 60, course 4 for a total of 86 points. That's an 86-point run for the Willinga Park horse, Bad in Black, Troy Palmer aboard. He was competitor number 20. 21 is on camp, Richard Barnett with Ophir Whisper, stand by 22, Alex Croker, 23, Bryony Puttycombe, 24, Bonnie Hiscock.
We're watching on course Richard Barnett and the little horse that he ride called Ophir Whisper. 10-year-old Australian stock horse. She's an open mare purchased as a 2-year-old at the landmark sale. First time competing at Willinga and very proud to have made the semi-finals along with his son Josh competing here this weekend. That was Richard Barnett from Singleton with Ophir Whisper.
And we have a cutout score of 16.33 for Richard Barnett and Ophir Whisper, competitor 21. Next competitor, 22, Alex Croker and Titan. Standing by 23, Bryony Puttycombe, 24, Bonnie Hiscock, 25, Peter Bolton. 26 will be Charlie Hinksberger and 27, Harry Steger.
Well, we've got the all clear from our judges. Number 22 in the competition, Alex Croker with Titan, will be our next contestant to try to force his way into the top 25 here this weekend. And bear in mind, you know, the added pressures that come with a winner's check. There is nowhere in Australia that you win a draft that you get one check for $100,000 in prize money. It's Australia's richest. It's certainly the most prestige event to win when it comes to the sport of camp drafting, and that's why we see so many names that at the highest level here in our sport. We're watching from Ladysmith this time. This is Alex Croker and M. Stearman's nomination, Titan. Well, we self-navigate that first peg. Alex has certainly got a good free run and steer. He's got to bring it around nice and tight. Just pushed the button a little too early, unfortunately, for Alex. And at this point of time in our semi-finals, there will be not a lot of chance of making the semis with that second attempt on our second peg. So he'll take a camp score and a camp score only for Alex Croker with Titan.
And I could tell you that that camp score is 19.33. That's a 19.33 for Alex Croker and Titan. Next competitor, 23, Bryony Puttycombe and EPCD Cat. Stand by 24, Bonnie Hiscock, 25, Peter Bolton, 26, Charlie Hinksberger.
Well, as Bryony makes her way to the camp, she certainly has a long list of credentials to her career. One of the most successful weekends was winning the Open Draft at Moseley Hills there in Queensland. Has been a former place getter in the finals here at Willinga in the Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship, so her name is familiar. And of course, she's been a 3 times lady rider of the ACA there in central Queensland. Enjoys the sport of camp drafting and watching her children also compete in the sport, whilst a family sport it is indeed. We're watching Bryony Puttycombe on course in competition on EPCD Cat. All the way down from Nebo here this weekend. Just a reminder at the conclusion of our Gold Buckle semi-finals here today, we've got also coming up at around about 1:45. 1:45. It'll be the Ladies Dash for Cash final and finals presentation ceremony. Following the conclusion of that, we have the Stallion Draft. Starts at around about 4:45. So plenty more to see and do. And then at 6 o'clock tonight, the cutout final. So a lot more to be done as far as the camp drafting here at Willinga is concerned on day number 3 of competition.
And that was a cutout score of 19.33 for Bryony Puttycombe and CD Cat. Bonnie Hiscock is now on camp, riding Alvin. She comes in as competitor 24, standing by 25, Peter Bolton, 26, Charlie Hinksberger, 27, Harry Steger, and 28 will be Bruce O'Dell.
Well, we're watching on course. It is Alvin indeed. He's by Impressive Destiny out of Pine Tor Jess. 14-year-old gelding that she's enjoyed riding. A very special thanks to the Stratlicks for the opportunity to ride Alvin in this competition. Well, she's doing a good job on the first and second, heading up towards that gate, and the pressure is right on. The angles are tough. Man, oh man, and boy, oh boy. She's got it done. A good run it was indeed for young Bonnie Hiscock with Alvin, and makes a home in Mafra. And joining us here once again this year at our Willinga Park Gold Buckle Camp Drafting Championship, brought to us by Ringers Western Wear.
Score for Bonnie Hiscock and Alvin, cut out 21.33, horsework 63, course 4, for a total of 88.33. That's an 88.33 for Bonnie Hiscock and Alvin. On camp now is 25, Peter Bolton with Nandai Destiny's Reflex. Standing by then 26, Charlie Hinksberger, 27, Harry Steger, 28, Bruce O'Dell, 29, Hugh Miles.
Well, at the 25 mark, it was always an opportunity to clean that camp. Of course, start with a fresh camp of cattle. We've got 114 competitors in our competition here this weekend. So we try to ensure that each and every one of those contestants has an opportunity to select fresh cattle from the camp and, of course, enhance their chances and opportunity to win that $100,000 winner's check to be presented here on Saturday afternoon around about 3 or 4 o'clock. It's when that big prize is given. Certainly something to stay tuned and watch for. It'll be exciting. It'll be Australia's best horsemen and women on course with the aggregate scores from today and tomorrow pointing towards our championship winner. We're watching Peter Bolton, number 25 in the competition, with Nandai Destiny's Reflex. Peter and Michelle Bolton make their home at Hayfield. Very special thanks also to the Willinga Park. Would like to express their support to our season and principal partners. That's Foresight for their support, providing quality joint supplements for not only our equine and canine friends, but also for us as humans. You know, while you're here this weekend, you can scan the QR code around the venue for your chance to win the ultimate Foresight and Osteo Restore Joint Support Pack, valued at over $2,500. Of course, they are principal partners. That is Foresight. Well, gates are back. We're on course, and we've got 40 seconds to perform. And boy, oh boy, Peter Bolton's not holding back in this round. Undying Destiny's Reflex. We've got some high scores that have been progressed so far in the competition, and he's like to stamp his authority good on that second. And Peter Bolton keeping an eye on that gate, working up towards lining up. The angle's tough, but he's going to put some pressure on, impress our judges, and does so with it. A nice smooth run throughout the course of our competition, well within the 40 seconds for Peter Bolton and Undying Destiny's Reflex.
Score for Peter and Michelle Bolton's Nandai Destiny's Reflex. Cut out 22.67, horsework 65.33. 4 for the course for a total of 92 points. 92 points, that's our leader at this point, Peter Bolton and Nandai Destiny's Reflex. That's the highest score we've seen to date.
Well, we're on course with our next contestant. The show goes on. It's Charlie Hanksberger riding the Smith family Superman. This little horse, he is by Conman, a name that's familiar by many, many standards in the sport of camp drafting, out of a mare called Playing Like Jess. Still a novice horse, and a camp score is all we'll see for Charlie Hanksberger at number 26 in our competition, riding the Smith family Superman.
And that's a cutout of 22 only there for Charlie Hanksberger. Next competitor is 27. He's looking at his cattle at this as we speak. Harry Steger and standing by 28, Bruce O'Dell, 29, Hugh Miles, 30, Matthew Moffat.
Well, it's with the great surprise we see this young man's travelled all the way from Camberwell to be back down here with us this year. Of course, grew up in western New South Wales around the Dubbo region. Riding a horse that has been nominated by Bronwyn Upjohn. And with a 92-point leading score on the board, you're going to see some pressure on the competitors remaining, for the simple fact that you can't let him get too far ahead in this first and opening round, because it'll be a lot of catch-up on tomorrow's round in that final. Unfortunately for Harry Steger, it will be a camp score and a camp score only, riding
And the camp score is a cutout of 21.67. 21.67 for Harry Steger and Next competitor, 28, Bruce O'Dell, Abby's Romance. Standing by 29, Hugh Miles, 30, Matthew Moffat, 31, Ben Hall, 32, Matt Holes, 33, Paige Nancaro, and 34, Rowan Marks.
Well, watching Bruce O'Dell with Abby's Romance. Now, this little horse is by it's a Conman mare. 1, 2 open drafts for him so far in this competition. Bruce is another face familiar to camp drafting, had a long and successful history in the sport of Australian rodeo. But he ran off with the maiden and open in one weekend. Of course, he saw that as a big step up in his camp drafting world. He makes his home at Eddington in Victoria these days, Bruce O'Dell. And that was Abby's Romance. It will be a camp score on that occasion.
And it's a camp score of 21.33 for Bruce O'Dell and Abby's S Romance at 21.33. 29 now in camp, Hugh Miles with Just Jack. This is his own nomination. Standing by then, number 30, Matthew Moffat, 31, Ben Hall, 32, Matt Holes, 33, Paige Nancaro.
Well, it looks like our contestant, 29, Hugh Miles, with Just Jack, selecting his beast at the camp. This is a little horse. It's an open stallion by the famous Conman sire. out of the well-renowned and recognised Romeo mare called Just Like Jess. So he's bred in the purple, and of course he'll be looking to deliver here this weekend. It is Hugh Miles in the saddle. Makes his home in the country music city of Tamworth on the eastern side of town, up on the Peel River. And of course he is looking to once again make sure that he's got his name up in lights here for Saturday afternoon's final. Hugh Miles in action. And once again, you can see the breeding, the progeny, the bloodlines in the sport of camp drafting shining through here today. It is a Conman stallion out of a world-class Romeo mare called Just Like Jess.
Score for Hugh Miles and Just Jack, cut out 23.33, horsework 62.67, course 4, and that's a 90. That's a total of 90 points for Hugh Miles and Just Jack. Next competitor will be number 30, Matthew Moffat and JMD Fascinator. Standing by 31, Ben Hall, 32, Matt Holes, 33, Paige Nancaro, 34, Rowan Marks, 35, Pat Hardwick.
Well, here's the guy that held down 3 of the top 4 spots coming in today's round of the competition. This is Matt Moffat. Matt joining us from Cabra. He was first, second, fourth in the qualifying rounds after the first 2 big days of competition. But remember and always keep in mind, today we start from scratch. It's all about building some momentum for the finals on tomorrow afternoon. And Matt knows that at this point of time, what he did in the previous 2 rounds will not count. It's all about, once again, re-establishing the horses and his scores in this final section of competition. And at this point of time, he's doing a fine job. This is a D&J Bells nomination, JMD Fascinator. Well, looks like we're going to see him back on Saturday afternoon. Matt Moffat, that form shines through once again here at Willinga. Matt Moffat on D&J Bells nomination.
Score for Matthew Moffat's JMD Fascinator, cut out 22.63, horsework 61.67, 4 for the course, for a total of 88 points. That's an 88 round for Matthew Moffat and JMD Fascinator. Ben Hall now looks over his cattle. He comes in as competitor 31 with Tamaroo Jackson. Standing by 32, Matt Holes, 33, Paige and Nancaro.
Well, Ben has travelled probably just as far as anybody has to be here this weekend, all the way from Julia Creek in far north Queensland. He's made this road trip an annual venture right down the eastern states of Australia to be a part of the performance here at Willinga. He knows that it's eluded him thus far, the competition, the big $100,000 winner check, but he's got the horsepower, he's got the drive, and he's certainly got the ability to win one of the big checks here on finals weekend. We're watching one of the masters in action, Ben Hall and the horse Tamaroo Jackson. It's nominated by Ben and his lovely wife Jade from Julia Creek. Of course, Jade be keeping that operation working there back home, while Ben is certainly doing his best to ensure that their names are up in lights here for Saturday afternoon's final and that opportunity of the big day's payday. Completes that course. It's all done for Ben Hall. Tamaroo Jackson it was on that occasion.
We have a score through for Ben Hall and Tamaroo Jackson, cut out 21.67, horsework 60, course 4, for an 85.67. 85.67 round for Ben Hall and Tamaroo Jackson. Matt Holz has started. He's competitor number 32, riding Shakira's Tapped In. Following Matt, we'll have 33, Paige Nancaro, 34, Rowan Marks, 35, Pat Hardwick, 36, Matt Durkin.
Well, it was only 2 years ago, 2022, that Matt came in from behind in this competition, went into the finals on Saturday afternoon, and well, he knows to stay calm and cool throughout the qualifying rounds, but he's going to have to work overtime here. Unfortunately, he was on a Kooyong Pastoral Company nomination. Shakira's tapping in, and he'll take a camp score in our semi-final of the competition. That was Matt Holtz.
takes a camp score of 21.67. 21.67 for Matt Holes and Shakira's tapped in. Paige is now on camp. Paige Nancaro, competitor 33 with Constantly Stylish.
Well, Constantly Stylish is a 7-year-old open mare by the famous roan little stud called Pepto's Stylish Oak out of a Conman's Request. So another one that's been bred to perfection, bred for the sport, and of course it is showing the skill set here this weekend at number 33 in the competition. Makes a home in Camperdown, Paige Nancaro, and she is looking to be one of our female finalists, as we do each and every year. Look to have several of the young ladies in the competition make through to the big final of this event. Ooh. Well, we'll leave that call to the judges. May have just cut that gate a little short for Paige at number 33 in our draw.
Score for Paige Nancaro, cut out 22, horsework 57.33, 3 for the course for a total of 82.33, 82.33 for Paige Nancaro and Constantly Stylish. Rowan Marks had it out very shortly on course at 34 with Turner Marks, Sharparova, and 35 standby, Pat Hardwick.
Well, we're certainly getting a third of the way through the competition. The qualifying round is well and truly underway, this semi-final, and you can see the way in which our contestants are really starting to put a little more pressure on. They know fully well there's been so many full courses, and there's a perfect example what Rowan Marks had to perform on Turner Marks Sharapova, and he makes his home at Charlwood and has certainly done all to his capabilities here this afternoon. We'll have a good score coming through for Rowan very, very shortly.
Score for Rowan Marks and Turner Marks Sharapova, cut out 22, horsework 64.67, course 4 for a total of 90.67, 90.67 to Rowan Marks. Next competitor is 35, Pat Hardwick, and Cool Runnings. He's out on course, standby 36, Matt Durkin.
Well, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen competitors from Julia Creek and Cannelwell down from the north of Australia. This gentleman all the way from Western Australia. This is Pat Hardwick, and he's made a long journey across the Nullarbor to be here this weekend at Willinga. And we express our gratitude to him for making that effort and being a part of it. And it's going to be very, very close to call. We'll leave that to the officials. That was Pat Hardwick riding Cool Runnings all the way from Western Australia to be a part of our competition showcase event here at Willinga. Pat Hardwick at contestant number 35.
Score for Pat Hardwick and Cool Runnings, cut out 22, horsework 58.33, 3 for the course for a total of 83.33. It's an 83.33 final score for Pat Hardwick and Cool Runnings. Matt Durkin's on camp at 36 with Fancy Man, standby 37, Mark Buttsworth, 38, Ben Matum, 39, Pete Comiskey, and 40, Chris Sherwood.
Well, Matt Durkin back in the camp. He's a guy that, well, he's travelled all over the eastern parts of Australia, spent a lot of his younger life in the far north Queensland regions on many of the stations and outback properties up there. Nowadays, spending a little more time in the country music city around Tamworth, riding his nomination, Fancy Man.
Score for Matt Durkin and Fancy Man, cut out 16, horsework 63.67, course 4, for a total of 83.67. 83.67 for Matt Durkin and Fancy Man. Kingaroy Horseman and Mark Buttsworth is currently on camp with Pep's Double Ray. He's competitor 37. Standby 38, Ben Matum, 39, Pete Comiskey, 40, Chris Sherwood, 41, Hugh Miles, 42, Josh Barnett.
Well, we're watching back in Cam 37 in the competition. This is Mark Buttsworth in action. Pep's Double Ray is the horse that he's on this occasion. One of Mark's personal nominations in this particular event, down from Kingaroy. Well, as luck may have it, cuts back inside that first peg for Mark. And, well, that's one horse that won't make back through to the semi-finals here this week. It will be Pep's Double Ray and Mark Buttsworth with a camp score only.
And that is a camp score of 23.33. 23.33 for Mark Buttsworth and Pep's Double Ray. Ben Matum is starting in the camp. He's competitor 38 with Moxie Storm. And standby 39, Pete Comiskey.
Well, we're watching on course. This is Moxie Storm, and it was only a couple of weeks ago we saw this little horse up at the Yarrowitch draft. He took out the juvenile and ladies competition, was won on Moxie Storm. It's an open mare, final here at Willinga in 2023. It is sired by Pepto's Stylish Oak, owned by Zeb Pearce.
That's time. Cut out 22, horsework 52, course 3 for a total of 77 points for Ben Matum and Moxie Storm. That's a 77-point run for Ben Matum and Moxie Storm. Here we see Pete Comiskey once again. He comes in as competitor 39 this time, riding Irvine's Just Jim. Standing by number 40, Chris Sherwood, 41, Hugh Miles.
Well, here's a combination that we've seen all around Australia that has taken many of the major competitions. This is Irvine's Just Jim, R&B Puttingham's nomination, and it is Pete Comiskey in the saddle and under control in this semi-final for our ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship. This is the round that you need to perform. You need to set up your score in a pretty high standard so as you're within touch of the leaders going into tomorrow's 25 qualifying round. Pete Comiskey just a little short of that gate on that occasion. He will pay, of course, through the judges here this weekend, doing a very, very good job. Pete Comiskey with Irvine's Just Jim, R&B Puttingham's nomination.
Scores come through for competitor 39, Pete Comiskey, Irvine's Just Jim, cut out 21.33, horsework 58.33, 3 for the course, for a total of 82.67. That's an 82.67 for Pete Comiskey and Irvine's Just Jim. 40 is on camp, Chris Sherwood with Small Talk, standing by, then 41, Hugh Miles, 42, Josh Barnett, 43, Josh Gibson, 44, Matthew Moffat.
Well, we're moving through this semi-final quite rapidly, and we're watching number 40 in the competition. This is Prue Sherwood's nomination, ridden by Chris in this round of the competition. Chris Sherwood make the home Oringo. And, of course, he would look to make the finals for the first time here this year in this particular competition. We're about one-third through this round of the competition. Unfortunately for Chris, he will take a camp score only in this semi-final of the competition.
And that is a cutout score of 20. 20 only there for Chris Sherwood and Small Talk. This is the Garrison Quarter Horses horse, Tilly, ridden today by Hugh Miles. This is competitor 41, Hugh Miles. Standing by 42, Josh Barnett, 43, Josh Gibson, 44, Matthew Moffat. 45, Scott Bandy. 46, Troy Palmer.
Well, once again, as we get set to go with our next competitor, Hugh Miles has a great team of horses down from Tamworth. This little mare called Tilly is by the great Conman side that has sided so many of these finalists, but more importantly, out of a Spinifex mare that goes way back in the bloodlines here in Australia from the Garrison Quarter Horses. And Garrisons are based at Swan Hill. Of course, have been breeding an elite group of quarter horses for many, many years in Australia, one of the pioneers with the Spinifex bloodlines. And this horse is certainly bred in the purple. Tilly, it's a maiden mare, but looking to establish herself here this weekend in our big finals on Saturday afternoon. Hugh Miles, he is the man under control, the boy from Tamworth, at contestant number 41 in the semi-finals here this weekend.
And if you've just arrived, you're watching the Ringers Western Gold Buckle semi-final. These are Terry and Jeanette Snow's cattle for the entire event.
And that was indeed contestant number 41, representing the Garrison Quarter Horses, a little horse called Tilly, and Hugh Miles in the saddle.
And Hugh has a score of 22.33, horsework 62, course 4, for a total of 88.33. That's an 88.33 for Hugh Miles and Tilly. Looking over his cattle now is competitor 42, Josh Barnett, and Simply Irreductible. Standing by then 43, Josh Gibson's Lebron, and then we'll have 44, Matthew Moffat's Future Dreams.
Well, here's a man that's been a former ABCRA most successful camp draft riding competitor, riding a horse called Simply Irreductible. We are watching Josh Barnett in action. Little horses sired by Stylish Ray from a dam called Dazzling Duckling. Well, Josh has been at the elite level. He was a winner of the World Championship camp draft at the Sydney Royal Easter Show. Finished in the top 5 in 5 consecutive years there in Sydney, so he certainly knows what it's like to handle the pressure in this competition. And, of course, here in the semi-finals, he'll be looking to make it back for the big day. Josh Barnett down from that coal mining city of Singleton here on Friday semi-final days at Willinga.
I'm going to do that again. We have a score there for Josh Barnett and Simply Irreductible, cut out 14.67, horsework 62, course 4, for a total of 80.67. That's an 80.67 round for Josh Barnett and Simply Irreductible. Looking over his cattle now is competitor 43, Josh Gibson and Lebron. Standby 44, Matthew Moffat, Future Dreams.
Yeah, that's right. This is LeBron. It's a 5-year-old gelding by Cat in a Hat out of an Acres mare. Little horses, of course, anybody that follows the AFL would understand that Josh Gibson's sporting achievements in AFL was as high honoured as any. But the transition to camp drafting, well, he's certainly adapting as quick as anybody we've seen come into the sport. He's had a lot of help in the last couple of years with this particular horse. I know Dan Steers spent a lot of time up there in the last couple of seasons in the Katingal region. And Josh is very grateful for the support that he's had from people such as Dan Steers. But we're watching on course LeBron and Josh Gibson.
And we have a score for Josh Gibson and LeBron, cut out 20.33. 20.33. Next competitor, 44, Matthew Moffat and Future Dreams. Standing by then 45, Scott Bandy, 46, Troy Palmer, 47, Ben McNaughton, 48, David Murphy.
Well, Matt Moffat takes up his familiar role. It's right at the gates, right at the front of the camp. And what he will do once again with this little horse, Future Dreams, it's D&J Bell's nomination. Matt joins us here this weekend from Cabra. So far already has around about 2 or 3 horses already high enoughly ranked to qualify in the competition. And he'll be looking to once again establish that score as he has in the first 2 days of competition. Matt Moffat has been pretty much a man that has dominated the first 2 days of this event with 3 out of the top 4 qualified place getters in the first 2 qualifying days. And here on semi-finals day, he has not taken the pressure off at all in any way, shape or form. Matt Moffat continues on in a purple patch here this weekend at Willinga with Future Dreams, the nomination by D&J Bell.
Score for Matt Moffat and Future Dreams, cut out 21, horsework 61.67, course 4 for a total of 86.67. That's an 86.67 round for Matthew Moffat and Future Dreams. Next competitor, 45, Scott Bandy, The Ranch, 4X Gold. Then we'll have 46, Troy Palmer, 47, Ben McNaughton.
Well, here's a guy that is one of the Australian unique horsemen in our camp drafting world. This is 4X Gold, The Ranch. Of course, he's a 14-year-old gelding by Knight's Top That. He's now an open horse that, of course, Scott has had a great deal of success with over the recent years, nominated by son Travis. And looks like he'll take a camp score here today, a camp score only for Scott Bandy and The Ranch 4X Gold from Tooma. Joining us here once again, his 5th year consecutively, Scott Bandy.
And Scott has a cutout score of 20.67. 20.67 for Scott Bandy and The Ranch 4X Gold. Troy Palmer is now in camp looking at his cattle. He's competitor 46, riding Big Red. Standing by then 47, Ben McNaughton, 48, David Murphy, 49, Pete Comiskey, 50, Dean Rogers.
Go!
Well, here is another one of the well-bred horses and performed here this weekend. The Willinga Park nomination, Big Red. 6-year-old stallion, signed by Metallic Cat out of Janie Wood. Also the dam of the NCHA USA Futurity winner. Bred by the Slate River Ranch in Texas and imported early in 2022. Has won a maiden and 2 novice drafts. The ABCRA Championship Challenge and Hunter Stockman's Classic Champion. Well, I tell you what, there's one that Terry can put a big smile on his face here this weekend. Terry, wish you all the very best. And, of course, Troy Palmer and your team of horsemen certainly looking to final these Willinga Park nominations here for the Saturday Championship round. That was Troy Palmer, Big Red, and Willinga Park's nomination.
And we have a score through for Troy Palmer and Big Red. Cut out 22, horsework 63.33, course 4. That's a total of 89.33. That's an 89.33 for the Willinga Park Big Red, ridden by Troy Palmer. 47 is next, Ben McNaughton with Little Acres. Stand by 48, David Murphy, 49, Pete Comiskey, and 50 will be Dean Rogers.
Well, as we have on camp this time, unfortunately, Ben McNaughton knows at this stage 47 is going to see him take a 0 score in the semi-finals, as camp drafting can bring you back down pretty quick. That was Little Acres. Ben McNaughton's nomination from Walker at number 47 in our competition.
And as Glenn said, unfortunately, that's a no score there for Ben. We continue now with 48, David Murphy, and Mobile Price Tag. Standing by then, 49, Pete Comiskey, 50, Dean Rogers. Stand by once we have a cattle change of 51, Callum Moore, 52, Mark Buttsworth, 53, John Mulcahy.
Well, as we draw your attention to our next contestant, this will be David Murphy, Mobile Price Tag. Well, there's a horse that has been around for an eternity, very successful in his region, a sire of numerous camp draft winners, But more importantly, he has won. He has won 15 camp drafts throughout his career in the sport of competition. This is Mobile Price Tag and David Murphy in the saddle. Well, as we've seen so many good runs thus far, it's going to certainly... we're nearly at the halfway mark. We're nearly at the 50, which is... There's 110 in this round of the competition, I do believe. So really going to look to be in that high 80s or early 90s to guarantee your position in Saturday afternoon's final of our Ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship. And just a reminder, the winner also receives that beautiful Rawhide Trophy saddle, handmade by the legendary Mr. John Bergman here on the ground this weekend over from the USA, and of course long-time partner with Mr. Terry Snow and the Willinga Park Gold Buckle Camp Drafting Competition.
And we have a score come through for David Murphy and Mobile Price Tag, cut out 20, horsework 61.33, 4 for the course for a total of 85.33. That's an 85.33 for David Murphy and Mobile Price Tag. We watch again Pete Comiskey. He's number 49 on this draw with PC Polaris. Standing by number 50, Dean Rogers, 51, Callum Moore.
Well, you can see the way that the urgency shown here this afternoon by Pete Comiskey, folks. He is serious. He is. He's not going to let Matt Moffat and those guys get too far ahead of him in this competition qualifying round. And Pete Comiskey knows you cannot afford to be 5 or 6 points off the pace going into tomorrow's grand final. So he wants to be in the high 80s. He's looking to be in the early 90s. And man, oh man, that's a Pete Comiskey run if ever we've seen one, ladies and gentlemen. So great to have Peter down here. PC Polaris, one of his own horses out of Nebo. And he'd be very, very happy and delighted to have him back in our final on Saturday afternoon.
And we have a score for Pete Comiskey and PC Polaris, cut out 20.33, horsework 63.67, 4 for the course, and that's an 88. 88 for Pete Comiskey and PC Polaris. Next competitor is 50, Dean Rogers and Dali Sweet Chili. Standing by 51, Callum Moore, 52, Mark Buttsworth, 53, John Mulcahy.
Well, this is a 12-year-old open mare by Dual Ray out of the Whittingmore Chili Girl. Winner of numerous ladies open drafts and certainly cut-out competitions. A well-grounded Dali Sweet Chili we're watching on course at this point of time. Ridden here in the competition by Bega's Dean Rogers. Be great to see some of our local competitors from down in the Bega, Bombala district here on the south coast make through to the big finals here this weekend and make it all the pleasing for the locals to see their name up in bright lights on Saturday afternoon. As we sweep up towards the gate, and I tell you what, I think we're going to see him back. It looks like Dean Rogers and Dali Sweet Chili from Bega gets that job done here to full course on our semi-final day of competition.
So we have a score for Dean Rogers and Dali Sweet Chili, cut out 22.33, horsework 60.67, 4 for the course for a total of 87 points. That's an 87 round for Dean Rogers and Dali Sweet Chili. Now we just have a tidy up in the camp, and as soon as the cattle have settled, we'll continue on with competitor 51, Callum Moore. I'd also like to hand you over to Gavin Beard and continue also with Glenn Morgan, and we'll see you a bit later on.
Yeah, well, this little horse, Gavin, is by Conman's request. He's by Hazelwood Conman out of Boasting, little mare that's now 10 years of age. She's won 8 open drafts, but today it's going to be a camp score and a camp score only for Conman's request, representing the Moore family from Camperdown in Victoria.
Well, that last competitor, competitor number 51, Callum Moore, and Conran's request, scoring a 22 for the cutout. And I did give a little speech up here. I don't think anybody heard it because I forgot to turn the microphone on. But we were just mentioning about the events here this afternoon. And out of that first 50 runs, we have witnessed well over 33 full round scores already in this first round. And you're watching outside now, number 52, Mark Buttsworth, with A Little Turbulence.
Well, I do believe that's going to be a camp score for A Little Turbulent, 11-year-old stallion by One Stylish Pepto out of Turpentine Acres. Now, that was a great mare that was on the karting pen list for many, many years. She won the Nutrient Open Draft competition, A Little Turbulence, but today it will be a camp score and a camp score only.
However, it's still a good camp score there, Glenn. It was a 23 for A Little Turbulence and Mark Buttsworth. And you're watching inside now, competitor number 53, John Mulcahy with Stratton Jill. Hugh Miles, can you be at the gate, please? You are number 54 with PCD Stevie Nicks.
Well, John was one of our officials that adjudicated the cutout competition here last night, and he is riding in this round of our competition. A little horse called Stratton Jill, nominated by John himself, makes his home in Roma. Made the long journey down from Roma to be a part of our Willinga competition, and he'd love nothing more to be able to call home tonight and say, I made it back through to the big finals on Saturday afternoon. He's progressed through the elimination rounds yesterday and on Wednesday's competition, so he has got that right, an opportunity to compete here today. There's 114 competitors competing to narrow it back to only 25 for tomorrow's big day of competition. Well, as he lines up, just a little short of luck, unfortunately. That was John Mulcahy with Stratton Jill.
The last competitor, John Mulcahy with Stratton Jill, scoring a 21 for cutout, 55.33 for the horse work, and another 3 course points. That'll be a grand total of 79.33 round score. 79.33, and I tell you what, here's one. Competitor number 54 with Huey Miles riding the Willinga Park nomination in PCD Stevie Nicks.
Well, this little horse, Gavin, is a maiden mare. She's by the great American sire, Stevie Ray Vaughan, out of the Acres Destiny mare, Honey There Aiken. She's owned by Terry Snow, hence the reason that she's a Willinga Park horse that is nominated in this competition. We've already seen Huey make some back through for the finals, and this would be another great sign if he could see this little roan horse get back towards that gate, line him up. The angles are tough, but boy, oh boy, there's a horseman and a combination. Well and truly performing to expectations. PCD, Stevie Mix, and it was a man from Tamworth, Hugh Miles in the saddle.
Well, that last competitor, Hugh Miles, PCD, Stevie Nicks, the Willinga Park nomination, scoring a 21.67 for the cutout, a 62.33 for the horsework, a 4 course points, and that is an 88-point round. 88 points for Hugh Miles, PCD, Stevie Nicks. You're now watching competitor number 55, Olivia McCallum with Henry Boone. Comes in riding Mum's horse, Linda McCallum's horse.
Well, that's one of the great fascinating parts of our camp drafting sport. It's a family-based oriented sport where the mums and dads, daughters, sons all get to compete, generally on the same horses. But as you can see with this young lady, she's taken over the steering here this weekend of Mum's nomination. Olivia McCallum, down from a beautiful part of northern New South Wales, a little town called Woolbrook, situated between Tamworth and Walker, up in the New England region. These kids were born into the saddle. Of course, their family have been supporting camp drafting and cutting for many, many years. And boy, I tell you what, for a girl riding here for her first year, doing a mighty fine job. Olivia Henry Boone heading up towards that gate, just keeping her mind on the job and focused. And I tell you what, folks, you can put your hands together for her. Well, it is time.
Previous competitor, Olivia McCallum with Henry Boone, scoring a 21.67 for cutout, 59 for horsework, another 4 course points there, Liv. That'll be an 84.67 point round. 84.67. You are currently watching competitor number 56, Sarah Cookson, with Tell Us I'm Smooth, with another one of these great Willinga Park nominated horses, Sarah Cookson's Tell Us I'm Smooth.
Okay, getting set to go with our contestant on course this time, Sarah Cookson. And, well, Sarah's been a part of the Willinga team for several years now. She comes from a great family. They've been camp draft supporters. Of course, she's the third generation camp drafting competitor. Of course, her granddad, the great and late Peter Cookson. PJ, her dad, now still up in Dirranbandy. All of this family were born into the sport of stock horses, camp drafting. And to tell you what, at home, PJ be pretty proud of the efforts of young Sarah this weekend, doing her very, very best at Willinga as she did last year. Oh, you bet she can. She can ride that young lady, Sarah Cookson, ladies and gentlemen. Born and raised in the central west of New South Wales at Canberra, lives these days at Dirranbandy, and she's representing Willinga Park with Tell Us I'm Smooth.
And represented she did too there, Glenn, Sarah Cookson, scoring a 21.33 for cutout, 61.67 for horsework, another 4 course points there, Cooko. That'll be an 87-point round. 87 points, Sarah Cookson with Tell Us I'm Smooth. You're watching in camp now. This will be competitor number 57, Mr. Mick Southern with Nebo President.
Well, the southern name's familiar with St. George of Wengallen in southeast Queensland. Quite a few family members have all been camp draft, and they are in the sport of rodeo camp drafting for many, many years, as long as I dare to remember, and Mick Southern's one of that team. The nomination by MF and ML Southern from Wengallen, southeast Queensland, and he'd be looking to establish himself solid in the first and second rounds to get back for the semi-finals. It's, as we said coming in, we'd had 50 competitors, 30 full courses. That statistics are well and truly above most camp drafts throughout Australasia. Hence the quality of our Willinga pastoral cattle. And I think Mick would agree with us. They have run to exception here this weekend. That was Mick Southern, contestant number 57 from Wengallen in our semi-final here this afternoon.
Thank you, Mick. Mick scoring a 22 for cutout, 62.33 for horsework, another 4 course points. That is an 88.33 round. 88.33 for Mick Southern's Nebo President. You're watching competitor number 58, John Mitchell with Miss Heart Acre.
Well, he makes his home, John, in the mountain country around Tooma in the Southern Highlands, nominated by himself for this event. John Mitchell's Miss Heart Acre. Well, they've seen an influx of competitors from down in southern New South Wales. Victoria competing here this weekend. We've got them from Western Australia, from as far north as Camberwell and Julia Creek in North Queensland. Have realised the fact that the $100,000 winner cheque does not come around all that often. And this is one place in Australia you need to be this weekend if you want a chance to take home that cheque. It'll be a great way, as I've spoken to many of the competitors, to drive out of the southern coast. There it is. Completes it, the man from Tooma. That was John Mitchell with Miss Heart Acre.
Previous competitor, competitor number 58, John Mitchell with Miss Heart Acre, scoring a 15.67 for cutout, a 64.33 worth of horsework there, and 4 course points. That'll be an 84-point round. Righto, you're watching Inside now, competitor number 59, Luke Hardwick with a Sweet Acres. And Glenn, you talk about, I don't think it's just the 100,000, mate. I reckon it's got a fair bit to do with the facilities that they have here at Willinga Park, the ground, the surface, the livestock, and the catering. Everything involved. There is it's second to nowhere.
Well, it certainly is, and these Hardwick boys, I guess they're twins, and one from Western Australia and the other from down here, and it's hard to keep them apart, but it's on course this time. We have Luke Hardwick, Sweet Acres, and of course he would be delighted to be back here this year. Of course, it's a long, long way to travel to be a part of this Willinga competition, and he's done so as he did yesterday in the qualifying rounds. Little horse that he rides in this division, Sweet Acres, bred from that Acres family out of Tamarang. We are going to line him up. The cattle are running so good. We're looking for another full course. He's got it. We've got it with Luke Hardwick, Sweet Acres.
Well, I don't think you'll mind it, Luke. Luke Hardwick with a Sweet Acres, scoring a 21.67 for cutout, 61.67 for horsework, another 4 course points there, Luke. That's a grand total of 87.33. And I tell you what, moving straight on, competitor number 60, here's one to watch, Mr. David Thorne with One Hell of a Time.
Well, as we get set to go with him this time, David Thorne in action. Of course, many people would remember in the equine industry, of course, comes from a great family, the Thorne family out of southwestern Sydney. Started their career out there, and David's one of a big brand of the Thorne family. And, of course, today it'll be a camp score only, riding One Hell of Time.
One Hell of a Time, and David Thorne scoring a 22 points. 22 points there, Dave. In on camp now, competitor number 61, Cameron Webster with Laselli. Laselli. Cameron Webster. Next in the yard will be number 62, Steve Hart. Don't be far away with The Metallist.
Well, as we bring him to the front, the Seal is a 6-year-old mare. Still a novice mare owned by PG and E.M. Webster. Another one of our contestants who travelled down from Wandoan in Queensland, 36 years of age nowadays, and he is also one that would like to make back. It's good to see a brand new young group of riders coming through the seasons. Many of these guys in their 30s, and of course, they will be the next generation of camp drafting competitors who'll take the sport well and truly into the next 10 or 15 years. Well done, Cameron. You've got it done. The boy from Wandoan in Queensland, riding Lucille.
Yeah, Lucille and Cameron Webster scoring a 22 point for cutout, 62.67 for horsework, another 4 course points. That is an 88.67 round. 88.67 for Cameron Webster and Lucille. And I tell you, here's number 62, Stephen Hart, riding his nomination in The Medalist. Zane Haberman, you're next in, you're number 63.
Well, here's a combination that have been in good form. This is The Medalist. He's won a maiden and 2 novice drafts. He won 4 open drafts. Little horse is now 8 years of age, and he recently won the Stallion Shootout at the Nutrien Classic up there in Tamworth. So he has been performing well in 2024 and putting plenty of pressure on. Boy, holds his breath on that first peg, but now it's up to Steve to try and keep him on track, making a good fist of it on the first and second. Remember, we've got a time limit of 40 seconds, but he's holding his own at this point of time. Angle's a tough man. Oh, man, they're shooting for big bucks here this weekend. He's done it. Stephen Hart it was. That was The Medalist from Gugong.
Here, the medalist and Stephen Hart scoring a 22.67 for cutout, 64 for horsework, another 4 course points. That is a 90.67 round. 90.67 points, as you mentioned, Glenn. They are riding for big bucks and big points. I know competitor number 63 is another one that will try, and we know that. Zane Haberman with Cat Swift.
Well, when you travel down as far as Springsure in far north Queensland, you know damn well when you come to Willinga, you're going to have to put the pedal down. You've got to ride for the big bucks. You're not going to go too safe and you're not going to go too sure, but this is as we see it. Call it as you want, but he is there to win his chance. And, of course, Zane riding that little horse called Cat Swift. Made that first peg pretty impressive, and now he's got to check back, settle down, keep that steer running as smooth as he can. Boy, oh boy, they're travelling well, these Willinga Pastoral Company livestock in this semi-final division, as they have all weekend. He eases up, backs off for that gate. Man, they've been shooting at some tough angles here for the gate, and they've been bending. They have come around once again. There's another nice run for the boy from Springsure in far north Queensland, Zane Haberman with Cat Swift.
Hello, Cat Swift and Zane Haberman scoring a 22.33 for cutout, 62.33 for horsework, another 4 course points. That is an 88.67 run. 88.67 for Zane Haberman and Cat Swift. You're watching up the front of the yard, right up the front now, Mr. Toby White with Dharma Con Me.
Well, Dharma Con Me is, as you could imagine, by that famous Conman stallion. Stands up at Gundawindi. Of course, a gelding these days. He's owned by Charlie Hengsberger and Geordie Stockdale. It is certainly a pleasure to have these guys here looking to establish themselves throughout the course of the competition. You're going to see what, I guess, Gavin will have the scores and numbers worked out shortly, but you're going to need to be in that high 80s. I'm thinking 87, 88 to even make it back for that top 25. So as far as ride safe, ride careful and be about 77, 78, it's not going to be good enough to progress through to that top 25 round here on Saturday afternoon. We're watching time.
The last competitor, Toby White and Dharma Con Me, scoring a 23.33 for the cutout, 59 for horsework, another 4 course points. That is an 86.33. 86.33, and you're watching, they're very much in form, number 65, Mr. Matthew Moffat with the nomination in a conflict.
Well, Gavin, I've just got some updates from our people here behind the technology. 86 points and above. We've got 30 scores of that already. Now, we were posted to have 25 in the final. We are only at 64 in the competition, so there's 114, I do believe, in this round. So you've got to be well and truly above 86, even at this point of time, to make it through to that top 25 on Saturday afternoon. So I could imagine there'll be a lot of pressure on going forward. That was Matt Moffat we watch on Conflict. And, of course, he's riding that little horse for Cameron Parker, makes his home in Cabra.
So Matt Moffat and Conflict scoring a 22 for cutout, 61.33 for the horsework, another 4 course points there for Matt Moffat and Conflict. That'll be a grand total, 87.33 round, 87.33. You are watching in on camp now, competitor number 66, Pat Cleaver with Scrabble. Bernadette Lucas, you're next in. You are number 67.
Well, as Pat Cleaver takes his beast, selects, goes forward into the camp area. Scrabble is a 14-year-old gelding by One More Playboy. There's a name that we've seen for many, many years. A cutting horse that really turned his progeny into great campdraft stock. Out of a Lindsay mare, constantly places, been in the top 2 most weekends at all the drafts in this region. That is Pat Cleaver. Makes his home in Nimbinabel. Well, as he takes him up towards that gate, it's Looking to be another full course. Our statistics are going to look bright and hot here this weekend as far as full courses are concerned at Willinga. Once again, it's, I said it a few moments ago, 86 points or better is 30-plus scores. After the first 60 contestants are 86 points or better.
And there's another one that joins them there. Glenn, Pat Cleaver and Scrowell scoring a 20 for the cut out. A 62.67 for horsework, another 4 course points. That'll be an 86.67. 86.67 for Pat Cleaver. You're watching on camp now, competitor number 67, Bernadette Lucas with Aaron Hendricks. Ben Hall, you're next in. You're number 68 with Cosmo.
Well, as she rides into the camp this time, we're watching Bernadette Lucas down from Glen Innes in northern New England, a region of New South Wales. Bernadette's riding a horse called Aaron Hendricks. Now, this is a horse that I can recall showing at the NCHA events many years ago. He's 16 years of age now. Has career NCH earnings of $37,000 in prize money. And as many of the cutting horses, once they've been through their aged events, they end up back in the camp drafting world. And, of course, have certainly produced plenty good horses, such as Time's Up, another one that's made that transition and made it right to the top. We are watching on course and in camp Bernadette Lucas from Glen Innes in northern New South Wales, looking to be the finalist for the very first time here this year at Willinga. Good to see so many lady riders competing here this year. It's certainly put a different flavour and taste into the competition. And Bernadette, boy oh boy, she can certainly hold her head high this weekend. She has completed that course in style. And it is Aaron Hendricks, little horse that she rides in this round of the competition.
Aaron Hendricks and Bernadette Lucas scoring a 22.33 for cutout, 62 for the horsework there, Bernadette. Another 4 course points, and that is an 88.33 round. 88.33 for Bernadette Lucas. And you're watching in on camp now, number 68, Mr. Ben Hall with Hall's Cosmo. And I tell you what, Glenn, it's pretty easy to get carried away here and watch these cattle keep running round and round, but what a chance and an opportunity to get some of the horsemanship and the jockeys and the trainers and the owners that all come together for this event and make this sport look so easy. But when you get out there, it ain't quite that easy.
No, it certainly is. And I think what we're seeing today and this weekend, Gavin, for the first time, with the cattle so even, so many of the big-name players are performing day in and day out. Matty Moffats, the Ben Halls, the Pete Comiskey's, Troy Palmer's, back-to-back, Hugh Miles. They're making those good runs because the cattle have certainly lent themselves to the sport, and that's what it's all about. You pay that entry fee, you come to Willinga, and you want an opportunity to show your skill set. As Ben Hall's come down from Julia Creek with this little horse, and man, oh man, there it is. You can't see it any better, any prettier than Ben Hall in the saddle. A third-generation horseman, camp draft riding, successful competitor, and I know Mum and Dad, Terry and Christine, will be very proud of his achievements here once again this year riding Hall's Cosmo. Ben Hall from Julia Creek.
With a 22 for a cutout there, Ben, a 62.67 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That'll be an 88.67 round. 88.67 for Cosmo and Ben Hall. You're watching inside now, competitor number 69, Luke Morgan with Lily.
Well, this is a little 9-year-old conman mare, Luke Morgan in the saddle on this occasion. Luke has only taken up the sport of camp drafting in the last couple of seasons. This little mare still a novice mare, Luke Morgan, the first time to Willinga camp drafting competition. Certainly looking to bend her back, get her through that gate on time. Just a little wide on that gate, unfortunately, for Luke Morgan with Liv.
Luke Morgan with Liv scoring a 21.67, a 56.67 for the horsework there, Luke. I'll just get a little correction here to the score, but I tell you what, we're talking about it there, 2 years into the sport and then lined up here in the semi-final at Willinga is no mean feat. You're watching at the moment competitor number 70, John Turvey and Jess.
Well, it's good to see John down here with his team. Of course, brother Andrew competing this weekend. Has 2 horses in this weekend into the semi-finals. John Turvey down from St. George. Unfortunately for his, just a little short on that first peg. You're going to see him take a camp score and a camp score only for John Turvey and Jess.
So sorry about that, Luke. We will go back to your score at competitor number 69, Luke Morgan, and Liv, scoring 21.67 for the cutout, 56.67 for the horsework. Another 3 course points there, Luke. That'll be a grand total, 81.33. Last competitor, John Turvey, with his cutout score of 21.33 with Jess. I tell you what, editor, here's the horse here, Rowan Marks, at competitor number 71, Turner Marks, editor. Waiting at the gate, number 72, Matt Holtz. You be ready, please, with Con Ellen.
Okay, we're watching on our next contestant, 71 in the competition. We have got Rowan Marks in action with Turner Marks, editor. Makes his home at Charlwood. And, well, as we've heard it before, we're going to need some, I think, very, very high 80s in this competition progress through. As we've seen, the numbers just keep rolling through for these competitors. It is pretty much a repeat performance, each and every one competitor. Just how tight you can make those pegs, how quick you can get that gate, and the angles that you perform those course at is what our judges will be looking for throughout the next few runs here this afternoon. That was Rowan Marks with Turner Marks, editor.
So we'll get you just a score there in just a moment for Rowan Marks and editor. But I tell you what, like I say, they're Glenn, the big scores and the big money here. We have got 10% of this particular program already has 90 points or better in this particular event in this semi-final. So there's 6 or 7 that already have 90 points or better in this particular event. Rowan Marks with Turner Marks, editor, scoring a 22.33 for the cutout, 55.33 for the horsework, another 3 course points. That's an 80.67 round. You're currently watching competitor number 72, Mr. Matt Holtz with a Con Ellen.
Well, Matt is a former winner of this competition. It was back in 2022 that he took home the winner's check and the great prize at Willinga Park. He'd like to do it once again here in 2024. Has about 3-4 horses back in this semi-final round of the competition. Riding Con Ellen. This is a Kooyong Pastoral Company nomination. Makes his home these days in Jindera. And Matty Holt started his career, made his home up in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales. In his early days, competed there with his mum and dad and brother in many of the junior drafts. But in recent years, spends his life here in Victoria. Well, there it is. Matty Holtz performs to the expectations of our staff here this weekend. Matty Holtz and Con Ellen.
Matt Holtz and Con Ellen scoring an 18.67 for the cutout, 59.33 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That'll be an 82-point round for Matt Holtz and Con Ellen. You're on camp now. You're watching right up the front there, Mr. Pete Comiskey with Seligans.
Well, here's a horse that we've seen at Willinga and have certainly taken the big prizes. This is Seligans. Pete Comiskey in the saddle. R&B Puddicom's nomination from Nebo. And, well, I know Peter would like to get this little horse back, knows how to handle the pressure on big days, particularly here on that Saturday afternoon when the big prize money's up for grabs. Pete Comiskey, one of our elite names in the sport, many, many times ACA Campdraft rider, a most successful competitor in central part of Queensland. He's won at all the major events throughout Australasia and would have to be regarded as one of the top 3 in this country as far as the sport of Australian camp drafting is concerned. Pete Comiskey. Time.
Last competitor, Pete Comiskey and Seligant, scoring a 21.67 for the cutout, a 53.33 for the horsework, another 3 course points there, Pete. Grand total, 78-point round, 78 points. Righto, moving along once again. Another one of these competitors that won't leave much in the tank, Mr. Carl Green, riding Bushy, and Hugh Miles closely follow behind there at competitor number 75.
Carl Green's a guy that I've had the pleasure to watch grow up over the last 10 or 15 years. Had a very successful career in the sport of Australian rodeo, but has now evolved heavily in camp drafting. He's won major awards throughout the New England, northwest of New South Wales in camp drafting competitions. Bushy is one of his favourite horses. He's one of his own nominations from Walker. Have a big camp drafting event there in Walker in the second and third weekend of January each year in that part of the world, and he's a prominent figure in that event each and every season. Good to see him back down here again this year, and he will be looking, he won't hold back, this guy, Carl Green, knowing full well that the high 80s are within his grasp. Unfortunately, like we've seen a lot of others, you put pressure on, sometimes those cattle will duck back in under you, and it happened on that occasion for Carl Green and Bushy.
Bushy and Carl Green scoring a 21-point cutout. 21 points for Carl Green and Bushy in on camp. Competitor number 75 this time. Competitor number 75 with Destiny Play Girl. One of Peter Doonan's nominations this time with Hugh Miles aboard. And like you mentioned there before, Glenn, you watch them come out there and you watch them attack those pegs as much as they possibly can. And sometimes they do just have to take that chance, because if they don't, the low points just will not get you a ticket back into the big money.
Well, as Hugh Miles watches over that fresh pen of cattle coming into the camp here this weekend, he's riding a little horse called Destiny's Playgirl. Now, this is by that great Sire Acres Destiny, out of an open mare, Playboy Roy mare, owned by Peter and Caroline Doonan from Charters Towers. So it's good to see so many people from around Australia supporting Willinga with their livestock. Themselves have travelled down here this weekend. But one thing for sure and for certain, if you've got horses in the hands of Hugh Miles, they're going to be looked after. They're presented in picture-perfect condition, each and every one of the drafts that I've ever been to, and that's the difference. You got horsemen looking after horses and doing a fine job with them, as he does week in and week out. Hugh Miles in the saddle, looking to get back into the finals here this weekend with Peter Doonan's nomination, Destiny's Playgirl. Well, we're certainly down towards the pointy end of the competition. We're at 75. We've got about 114 in this competition in our semi-finals. Don't forget, later on this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of this event, we will take about 15 minutes to work our arena once again, do the arena presentation, and then we'll be back. We'll be back with the Ladies Dash for cash finalists and the presentation to our winners. It is always a big part. And then at about quarter to four, around about quarter to four, it'll be the Stallion Draft, and that is always exciting. Tonight at 6 o'clock, we come back with the final of our cutout competition. So plenty more to see, plenty more to do here at Willinga. It is day number 3 of our competition, heading into the finals day tomorrow. And, of course, certainly a little more pressure on today, as you can see in this competition. Well, it is now Destiny's Playgirl on course. Hugh Miles trying to bend him just before that gate, but it's unfortunately the whip's crack in the background. We're going to have a camp score only for Destiny Playgirl and Hugh Miles in our semi-final today of the Ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Campdrafting Championship.
We've got a camp score of 22 points for Huey Miles with Pete Noonan's Destiny's Playgirl. 22 points there, and I tell you once again, we look here at combinations. You've got 76, competitor number 76. We've got another one of these great Willinga Park nominations about, I tell you, a rider combination. And you talk about it all coming together. We talk about owners and we talk about jockeys and trainers. There you have it. You've got the Willinga Park, you've got Troy Palmer, and you've got a world-class mare in front of you in Who's Divine.
Well, Who's Divine has been bred in the purple, Gavin. She's out of there by the Who's Top Cat, the sire, and then a mare called Divine Miss Ray. She was the winner. She was the winner of the 2017 Warwick Gold Cup. Well, Troy Palmer's been a finalist pretty much each and every year that we've been here, Willinga. The first prize has eluded him, but, well, I know fully well knowing Troy personally, he would love nothing more to be able to call Terry up and say we got that winner's check on Saturday afternoon with one of his horses. Who's Divine certainly has the credentials to do that, a winner of Warwick. And as we work towards that gate area, man, oh man, you talk about it, it's just made it a little tough. Time is up.
Last competitor number 76, Troy Palmer with the Willinga Park, Who's Divine, scoring a 22 for cutout. 58.33 for the horsework, another 3 course points there, my friends. 83.33. 83.33 points for Who's Divine and Troy Palmer. You are watching in on camp now, competitor number 77, Harry Steger with Bell's Magic. Zoe Willis, you're next in with Harmony Acres.
Well, he's one of our contestants that travelled down from Camberwell, right up in the top end of Australia, and it's a long, long journey down through the eastern states to be here this weekend. But as you can understand, you're passionate about winning Australia's biggest camp drafting event. You come to Willinga, and that's what Harry is here for. And, of course, his opportunities are about to unfold as he makes and self-navigates that first peg on Bell's Magic, nominated by Tommy Steger. And, of course, Tommy would be watching closely throughout the course of this competition. Looks like we're going to make that course. The whips crack in the background from our 3 officials and judges here this weekend. They have seen sufficient. They're happy with what they have seen in the competition. And we'll have that score through very shortly. That was Harry Steger and Bell's Magic at contestant number 77.
Bell's Magic and Harry Steger scoring a 22 for cutout, a 63 for horsework, another 4 course points. I tell you, there's an 89-point round. 89 points for Harry Steger and Bell's Magic. Competitor number 78 now is in the camp, Zoe Willis with Harmony Acres. Butty, Mark Buttsworth, you are next in with Granny's Rocks.
Well, the contestant we're watching on course at this point of time, you've got to give her credit. This is Zoe Willis, and Zoe's only 16 years of age. Makes a home in Ladysmith, New South Wales. Made the Nutrien Classic final in 2024. Harmony Acres, 11-year-old mare by Acres Destiny. Still a novice horse, placed in many of the novice and open drafts. 1-2 of the man from Snowy River Stripling Challengers. Well, I tell you what, could be the youngest competitor qualifying for our finals. There'll be a little pressure on Zoe at this stage from Ladysmith. Hey, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. 16 years of age, that's Zoe Willis from Ladysmith. Riding a nomination, Jeff and Sue Willis's nomination, Harmony Acres.
Harmony Acres and Zoe Willis scoring a 22 for cutout, 60.33 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That's an 86.33 round. 86.33 for Zoe Willis and Harmony Acres. You're watching in on camp now. Mr. Mark Buttsworth with Granny's Rocks.
Well, Mark's out once again on track. This is a horse that's owned by John Farnham. And, of course, John has been a passionate person with his camp draft and cutting horses for many, many years. Of course, Granny's Rocks, ridden here today by Mark Buttsworth from Kingaroy, is looking to have his name in as many times as he can in that final. it's going to take the well and truly into the high 80s. I'm predicting about 89 and better to make that top 25 at this stage of the competition. But we'll see. We'll wait. The numbers are yet to be through. That was Mark Buttsworth completing the course on John Farnham's nomination, Granny's Rocks.
Granny's Rocks and Mark Buttsworth scoring a 22 points for cutout, 62.33 for the horsework. Another 4 course points there. That'll be an 88.33 round. 88.33 for Mark Buttsworth with Granny's Rocks. In on camp now, competitor number 80, Bruce O'Dell and Will Power. 81, you be ready please, Charlie Hensberger with Bill Curra Basalt. Like we mentioned there before, Glenn, we're trying to get those points. Not only they're doing that, they all want a copy of one of those white shirts to be lined up here tomorrow afternoon in the final of that Ringers West and Gold Buckle Championship here for 24.
Well, we're watching on course Will Power and Bruce O'Dell in the saddle. Bruce, of course, comes to us from Eddington in Victoria. He's 55 years of age nowadays. Boy, oh boy, that gets away. Will Power, the name of the horse that he's on, is by Power of Destiny, out of a thoroughbred mare, 16 years of age. And, of course, Bruce is also a finalist here on 3 or 4 horses in our semi-finals this weekend. A very successful horse breaker and trainer from Eddington. Looking to shape up, make that final cut-off here this weekend. Well done to Bruce O'Dell, riding his nomination, Will Power, in this round of the competition.
Bruce O'Dell and Will Power scoring an 18.33 for the cutout, a 61.33 for the horsework, another 4 course points. It'll be an 83.67 round, 83.67 for Bruce O'Dell and Will Power. You're watching now. Doing battle in the yard there, competitor number 81, Charlie Hensberger with Bill Curra Basalt. Jess Scott, you're next in at number 82 with Roni's Independent One.
Well, this little horse we're watching on this occasion, Bill Curra Basalt, he was the runner-up Open Horse of the Year in 22-23 in the Southern Zone Circuit. He was by Conman. He's a multiple Open Campdrafting winner here this weekend. Charlie Hensberger, 28 years of age, from South Gippsland. Made the journey up here to Willinga for the opportunity to qualify in that finals, but today I think it'll be a cut-out and camp score only.
Bill Curra Basalt and Charlie Hensberger scoring a 15.67 for the cutout. Unfortunately, no further points there, Charlie, but you're 15.67. You're watching in on the camp now, carefully selecting their beast. Jess Scott with Roni's Independent One. Matt Moffat, you be ready with PV, a grass hopper. I'll tell you what, they're later this afternoon, Glenn, as I understand. We'll get an opportunity to see some of the sires and the stallions that get to compete, and the studs that help produce where we are in the country as far as this camp drafting sport is concerned.
Well, the bloodlines and progeny have just grown and grown, and we only talked about it last night at the conclusion of our second day of competition. I spoke with Tommy Williamson at great length about the improvement in bloodlines. They've brought different horses in, crossed them with our Australian stock horses, and now we're really seeing a unique breed of horses that are versatile in every aspect for the sport of camp drafting. We are watching Jess Scott in action on Roni's Independent One. She's a 7-year-old mare by One Roan Pep, a very successful cutting horse. But today, a little disappointing, a little short of luck. Roni's Independent One, owned by Roger Grant, will take a no score in this round of our competition.
When the camp's clear, we will have competitor number 83, Mr. Matthew Moffat, with PV Grasshopper. Waiting at the gate after that, Matt Beachaz with Blackwater Reprieve. Your number 84 and 85, Graham Rosinski with Tequila Sunrise.
Well, as we work our way down, we're a contestant number 83 in the competition, contestant number 83. Now, contestants, be fully aware that their 25 finalists is an approximate number. That'll depending on bottom end numbers that round it out. But I can tell you at this point of time, 87.67 sits at number 25 in the qualifying period. So 87.67 sits at around about 25th in our competition. This is Matthew Moffat riding K&E Hanrahan's nomination, PV Grasshopper. And for Matthew Moffat at number 83 in the competition, PV Grasshopper will receive a camp score and a camp score only.
A little bit disappointing there, Matt Moffat, PV Grasshopper scoring a 22.67 for the cutout. Unfortunately, no further points, 22.67. When the camp's clear, we will have competitor number 84. Matt Beachas with Backwater Reprieve. Graham Rosinski, you be ready, please. You're number 85 with Tequila Sunrise. And number 86, Pete Comiskey with Canopes Ransom. And Turv, you're number 87, Andrew Turvey, Canopes Destiny's Play Girl. As we just mentioned there before, we'll go on with the presentation. The presentation... the parade, I suggest, for the ladies finalists out in the ring.
Well, we're just having a little change-up of livestock and cattle, setting the herd here in the camp for our next contestant, Matt Beachas, with Backwater Reprieve. He was a finalist here back in 2022. I was down here on that occasion. Makes his home at Maffra these days. Of course, Backwater Reprieve is a 6-year-old. It's by Obenvale Redeem out of Over Excel. Certainly putting a little pressure on now, knowing that 87.67 is at the bottom of the bubble in our finalists for this particular competition.
Right.
We're watching, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Beachas from Maffra riding his nomination, Backwater Reprieve. It'll be a cutout and camp score, unfortunately, for him in this round of our competition at number 84.
Yeah, match cutout score there for Backwater Reprieve as a 16.67. You're watching now, selecting his beast. Mr. Graham Rosinski with Tequila Sunrise. Waiting at the gate, Pete Comiskey, you be ready with Ransom.
Well, Graham has certainly got the work ahead of him. He's number 85 in the competition. We have had we've had 84 competitors out, 50 full courses out of that division. So, man, oh man, that is great statistics when it goes to the competition we're watching here this weekend. Nearly 50 full courses out of the 84 competitors we've seen thus far here this weekend. Graham makes his home at Granite Rock, riding Tequila Sunrise in our semi-final competition. Well, it looks like the judges are going to call that back as a camp score and a camp score only.
Graham Rosinski with Tequila Sunrise scoring a cutout score of 15.33. Once again, sit down, take your seat. Competitor number 86, Canopes Ransom with Pete Comiskey. As you mentioned, Pete comes down to us from Nebo. All over the country they've come from for these particular events here this week at Willinga Park's facilities. And Pete knows that's where the points are, up the front of the camp and out the gate, and away he goes around the first peg.
watching on course at this point of time, Pete Comiskey with Knight's Ransom. Pete has certainly been a front runner when it comes to this competition and, of course, finalist throughout the course of the week's event. Tonight's Ransom, 13-year-old stallion by Hazelwood Conman from Boonall Serene. Serenade is second round winner of the Willinga Gold Buckle. Chinchilla Novice Draft finalist, placed third at Warwick in the Stallion Draft. Of course, he was a 2023 finalist here at Willinga in the Gold Buckle with Peter in the saddle. That was Knight's Ransom and Pete Comiskey.
Pete Comiskey with Knight's Ransom scoring a 22.33 for the cutout, a 61 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That will be a round score of 87.33. 87.33 for Pete Comiskey and Knight's Ransom. You're watching In On Camp now. Mr. Andrew Turvey, one of the Willinga team, on a Willinga horse here in Knight's Destiny's Play Girl.
Well, I know that Andrew certainly did a great job here earlier today in our judging of the Ladies Dash for Cash. He'll be back for the finals of that event. He's been one of the hands-on helpers with the Willinga pastoral livestock that we've used throughout the course of the weekend. Makes his home these days in Wandoan. And, of course, Knight's Destiny Playgirl, the horse that he is riding, is another one of the Willinga Park entrants in this particular competition.
We know.
Oh, that last competitor, Andrew Turvey, Knight's Destiny's Play Girl, scoring a 22.33 for the cutout. 61 worth of horsework there, Andrew. At 4 course points, that will be an 87.33. 87.33, Andrew Turvey's Knight's Destiny's Play Girl. In On Camp, you're about to watch Bonnie Hiscock with Newborn Davy. I tell you what, Glenn, I wouldn't like to be the one to have to judge how many they do take back into the final here.
No, that's for sure. It's been red hot as far as the finalists are concerned here this weekend. And, of course, we'll lead up to the people above. And goodness gracious, who knows how many will get back to the final. But anyway, let's go with Mayburn Davy. And it's Bonnie Hiscock in the saddle from Mafra. This little horse is out of a 2-time Gold Cup mare called Hazelwood Advice. 16 years of age. And, of course, under the good hands and advice of Bonnie Hiscock, Mayburn Davy. Well, so far the first and second looking pretty solid in the competition. Man, she's going to put some pressure on that gate, wind it in, tighten it up. Just not quite going to be tight enough, unfortunately, for Bonnie Hiscock with her nomination in this event, Mayborn Davy.
Bonnie Hiscock scoring a 22.33 for the cutout, 58 for the horsework, another 3 course points. Grand total 83.33 for Bonnie Hiscock with Newborn Davy. Competitor number 89, tough and dainty, Hugh Miles, I tell you. Another one of these Peter Doonan horses. Hugh Miles comes down and, like you say, each and every year the quality of horses he brings, some his own, some of the trainers, some of the riders, and some different owners. But I tell you what, it is always quality and he always rides here. He rides to take home that check and that white shirt, Glenn.
Well, it certainly is. And this little horse called Tough and Dainty, we know a little about. Imported from the USA by the great sire Would He Be Tough. Out of a dual ray mare, novice mare owned by Peter and Carolyn Doonan from Charters Towers. Of course, looking to breed perfection for our camp drafting here this weekend. And I tell you what, it's another of those uniquely bred horses crossing up and, of course, producing what is versatile for the sport here in Australia. And we're seeing some of Australia's best on show with most people like Hugh Miles in the saddle presenting these horses, looking to be better than nearly 88 points to make back through for the final. So it's going to be tough, it's going to be tight, and Huey Miles knows at this point of time he's got a great and golden opportunity to line up for that gate. Let's get him through, Huey. He does so, and of course we do know that Peter Doonan will be pretty happy back there in Charters Towers with that run with Tough and Dainty.
Tough and Daney and Hugh Miles scoring a 22.67 for the cutout, a 62 for the horsework. Another 4 course points, be a round score, 88.67 points for Pete and Carolyn Durnan's Tough and Dainty. 88.67 points. You're watching In on Camp now. Competitor number 90, Django. Al Sullivan's nomination with Ben McNaughton aboard.
Well, Ben's had a full book of rides when it comes to horses in this semi-final round of competition. This time for Al Sullivan. And, of course, Al makes his home up there on the north side of Tamworth, near the Manila region. Has been a great supporter and follower of camp drafting. Got a great man with his hands on this occasion, Ben McNaughton, looking to have the McNaughton name back up here in lights on Saturday afternoon in the grand final of this competition. Well, as you can see, we said it early today, they're going to need to put a little pressure on. The pace is going to need to wound up for competitors coming back in this final of the competition. Ben has, at this point of time, the pressure building to be back up into that high 80s. Of course, looking to establish not far off the pace, knowing that 91, 92 points is where the money is at this stage. But boy, oh boy, Ben is making a good run of it, ladies and gentlemen. That's Ben McNaughton. Joins us here this weekend from Walker in northern New South Wales. Of course, his dad, Bruce, many time finalist and champion in the camp drafting world. Well, Ben has certainly done their name proud here this weekend. Riding Django for Al Sullivan.
Well, Al Sullivan's Django with Ben McNaughton aboard, scoring a 22.67 for the cutout, a 63 for the horsework, another 4 course points there, Ben. It's an 89.67 round. 89.67 for Django and Ben McNaughton. In on camp, you're watching Mr. Josh Barnett with Moonlighters. Competitor number 91, John Templeton, you're next in, please, at 92.
Well, Moonlight is an Australian stock horse stallion. He's signed by Dream Acres out of Alchin's Cinderella mare. But today, looks like for Josh, it's going to be a long journey back with this little horse to Singleton. They will have a camp score here in the semi-finals, a camp score only.
And a camp score of 22.67. In on the camp, taking the time to have a look through the cattle. As we mentioned all the time, it's not just the horse. They need to select the right cow, and John Templeton's taken the time, and he said, this one here will do me. Salt and Cat is the horse's name.
Well, Salt and Cat is a 10-year-old Cat in a Hat gelding. Novice horse, consistently making the finals. He was a Nutrient Classic Challenge finalist and winner of the gelding incentive season. And, of course, Salt and Cat is the horse that we are watching in action at this point of time. John Templeton, Jeremy and Vicky Storia's nomination from Kingaroy. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of this event, we're down to about 94 in our draw. We will take a 15-minute break. The arena ranking will take place and process. Time.
Competitor number 92, John Templeton and Salt and Cat, scoring a 20.33 for the cutout, a 55.33 for the horsework, another 3 course points, 78.67 points for John Templeton and Salt and Cat. In on camp now. One of the names, Ben Hall, Marnie's North. He's riding Damien Kerr's nomination, Marnie North.
Well, Damien Kerr's been a great supporter of Ben for many years. They spend most of their time in the top end of Australia. Of course, Damien's been a long-time friend and breeder of stock horses. And unfortunately today, it's going to be just a camp score for Marnie's North. And that little horse will be back on the track tomorrow evening, heading back to Julia Creek in far north Queensland. Well, we're down to around about the final 10-12 in this round of our competition. Not that many yet to go in the semi-finals of the Ringers Western Wear Gold Buckle Championship qualifier here at Willinga.
Previous competitor 93, Ben Hall with Marnie's North, scoring a 22-point cutout. 22 points for Ben and Marnie's North. Tell you what, here's another guy that's in form a little bit. Comes down out of the top end of the Hunter Valley there, New South Wales. Denny Farley's riding. Denny and Cherie Farley's nomination in Chad. And I got an opportunity to catch up with Denny last night. Very, very happy. Loves the... this is his first time down at Willinga. And he said he will definitely be back.
Well, I think it's once in a lifetime you get this chance down here pretty much. We say it once in a lifetime, but many of these guys, once they've come back once, they never stop coming back. But Danny Farley in action on his little horse. This is Chad. It's a 7-year-old con man out of an Acres man, novice gelding. And, of course, Danny comes from a very, very successful family when it comes to the sport of Australian camp drafting. But, unfortunately, unsuccessful. It'll be a camp and cutout score for Chad and Danny Farley down from Caribbean.
Chad with Denny Farley scoring a 20.67 points for the cutout. Once again, 95, competitor number 95, Mr. Troy Palmer. And his nomination, Troy and Fee Palmer's nomination in Blue Tunes. We saw this nomination go round in the cutout last night. I'm not sure, it was either 23.5 or 24 points in the cutout, so we do know this particular mare can get down and cut a cow out in the yard, and she will also chase one round.
Well, this little horse we're watching, EB's Blue Tunes, is a 10-year-old mare, winner of multiple open camp drafts. She was the 2022 ABCRA Rookie Horse of the Year. Sired by I'm a Smooth Blue Cat from the dam EB's Eucalypt. Ridden by the whole family. We saw Fiona on this little horse early this morning in the ladies' Dash for Cash. Of course, these little horses are so valuable to the family when it comes to camp drafting. You've got the kids that can ride them, mums, the husbands, and then you can make the finals of the big one here at Willinga. This is Troy and Fiona Palmer's nomination from Cooler. And we've got the job done for Troy Palmer here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Blue Tunes, Troy and Fiona Palmer's nomination from Cooler.
Troy Palmer and Blue Turn scoring a 23-point cutout, a 64.33 for the horse work, another 4 course points. That is a 91.33 round. 91.33 for Blue Tunes and Troy Palmer. You're watching in on camp now, competitor number 96, Mr. Matt Durkin, riding Minx. Waiting at the gate, 97, Matthew Moffat with Hurry's Alley Cat.
Well, these days, Matt spends a lot of his time just north of Tamworth. He lives in the country music city. Younger years were spent right up in the top end of Australia, up in the Gulf region, North Queensland, and spent time out in the territory. Matt Durkin riding Minx. Well, it's going to be pretty tough to make it back to the big ones because we had him back in the camp, but boy, oh boy, what he can gain is a little confidence and self-respect here this afternoon if he can just nail that gate. But he's going to take a camp score and a camp score only for Matt Durkin and Minx at contestant number 96 in our competition.
Previous competitor Matt Durkin and Minx scoring a 15.33 for the cutout there, my friend. Minx and Matt Durkin, 15.33. Competitor number 97 now, Mr. Matthew Moffat with Hurry's Alley Cat. 98, Matt Holt, you be at the gate, please, with Country Blues. I tell you what, Glenn, we talk about the truckloads of horses that some of these guys have brought down, but how about the truckload of horses this particular young man in the camp there has brought along to this event this year? Like we mentioned, we're spoiled for choices, but to be able to sit up here and watch the quality of horses, the horsemanship and the whole thing put together all in one deal, very much a privilege.
Well, it certainly is, and you know, you watch this guy in action, Matty Moffat. It's just time and time again. If he's got 10 or 12 horses in a round or in the finals, it's like copybook. They're out and around that first peg tight. They're about 10 foot off it and cross over tight into the second. He makes it look like it is so much easier than what it really is. He's been an absolute pleasure to watch here throughout the course of the qualifying rounds. And I know with his presence in the final, they're going to really need to mark up to stop his run of success. And once again, ladies, I can't praise him enough for his efforts. Put your hands together for him, folks. Matty Moffat from Cabra, riding K&E Hanrahan's nomination. Hoorays Alley Cat.
Matt Moffat and Hoorays Alley Cat scoring a 22.67 for the cut out, a 62.67 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That's another 89.33 round. 89.33 for Matt Moffat and Hoorays Alley Cat. You're watching In On Camp now, competitor number 98, Mr. Matt Holtz with Hazelwood Country Blues.
Well, this is another of our Kooyong Pastoral Company nominations. Matty Holtz, as we said, have said a couple of times today, was a previous winner 2 years ago, 2022. He certainly took the accolades and the major share of our prize, winning the Willinga Gold Buckle Championship. And he'd love nothing more to make it, once again, a very big success story for the young man, Matty Holtz, and really putting some pressure on. Hazelwood Country Blues is good on that first and second peg. Now he'll sweep him back up. Of course, they've been taking that gate at some big, tough angles. And most of the time it has been paying dividends. Once again for Matty Holtz at number 98 in our draw this afternoon. Riding Hazelwood Country Blues for Kooyong Pastoral Proprietary Limited.
Last competitor, competitor number 98, Matt Holtz with Hazelwood Country Blues, scoring a 22.67 for cutout, a 62.33 for the horsework. Another 4 course points there, Matthew. That'll be an 89-point round. 89 points for Matt Holtz and Hazelwood Country Blues. Watching In On Camp now, competitor number 100. Computer. 99, I beg your pardon, the computer's just jumped a lot there. We should have. Paige, I wasn't going to leave you out. Paige Nancaro with Oaks Confection.
Well, Oaks Confection is an 8-year-old open mare by, one of the great old horses. This is Parmezel Condo out of Oaks Selection. And, of course, bred in the purple once again. She'll be looking to establish herself, but unfortunately, not today for Paige. Oaks Confection, just a little tight. It was a nomination of the Moore family from Camperdown, Paige Nancaro.
We'll come back to you there with the score just in just a moment there, Paige. But we're going to carry on with competitor number 100, David Murphy with Mobile Blue Angel. Waiting the gate 101 to be Mark Buttsworth with 1, Stylish Madonna and Ken Bolton. You are number 102 with Obenvale Redeem.
Well, I think what's happening now, Gavin, that we're getting right towards the end of this classic qualifying round, and of course so many people realising the aspect is that you're going to need to be in the high 80s, so there's some pressure on from the time they leave that camp. And as you can see on this occasion with Dave Murphy, Mobile Blue Angel pedals down, it's time to come riding. Tightens right up on that second peg, knowing full well that 40 seconds is the time that with it she has to complete that course. And of course, as that clock ticks by, the whips crack in the background. That will reduce him down to a camp score, and a camp score only for David Murphy with Mobile Blue Angel from Talbot, bringing us contestant number 100.
Previous competitor, though, for competitor number 99, Paige Nencaro, scoring a 22.67 for her cutout. 22.67, and competitor number 100, David Murphy with Mobile Blue Angel, scoring a 21.67. 101 now in the camp, please. Mr. Mark Mutsworth with One Stylish Madonna. And you just mentioned there, Glenn, the pressure coming on the second you leave that camp. I reckon the pressure's on the second you walk in the camp.
Well, it certainly is, and I guess there'll be a lot of people with sleepless nights last night, young people that are coming into this semi-final, wondering, knowing whether or not they will progress through to the finals. And, well, it's all happening. It unfolds in front of you, and while the good Lord looks down upon you, you can only do what you're capable of achieving, and that's what we're seeing here this afternoon. A lot of high scores from the select group of very, very high-profile camp drafting competitors as we get set to go with one of them right down in camp now. This is Mark Butsworth we're watching on camp with One Stylish Madonna. Now, this is a nomination of Chris Cummins. And, of course, Chris has also been a former long-time camp drafting competitor. Now we see Mark Butsworth with his hands on the reins and in the driver's position. One Stylish Madonna at contestant 101. We have got a competitor. We've got down to 114 yet to go, so we've got about another 14 competitors to wind up this semi-final in the competition.
And like you mentioned there, Glenn, it comes down to tomorrow afternoon, and you see some of the level-minded gentlemen and ladies throughout this weekend that don't let that pressure get to them as they get right through to tomorrow afternoon. Because as we mentioned there before, the amount of full round scores that we've seen, and like I say, I think out of the first 100 there, we've seen 55 people go straight through the middle of the gate. So 55 4-point rounds in this semi-final of the Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship here.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it is, you know, it's a credit to these horsemen that we've got here this year. I know the prize money does bring out Australia's best, and they've certainly made the long journey down here. People like Mark Butsworth, you just keep looking up and looking through the gate, and sure enough, he'll appear sooner or later. That was Mark Butsworth with One Stylish Madonna, representing Chris Cummins' nomination from Kingaroy.
Mark Butsworth, One Stylish Madonna, scoring a 20.33 for the cutout, a 61.67 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That's an 86-point round. 86 points for One Stylish Madonna and Mark Butsworth. In on camp now. Selecting the beast is Ken Bolton's Obenvale Redeem. Rowan Marks, you're next in, please. You're number 103.
Well, this little horse is at Obenvale Redeem. Nominated and ridden here this afternoon by Ken Bolton. It is a 9-year-old, open gelding by Impressive Destiny out of Obenvale, Candace. Something that they've taken a lot of time in the bloodlines and breeding to make it back. And there's nothing more satisfying to have a horse of your own that you've actually taken the time to breed, train, educate, develop, and make back to the semi-finals here in Willinga. Well, I tell you what, it'd be satisfying if you could walk out of here with that big $100,000 check on the back of your hip tomorrow afternoon. Let's see what he can do in semi-finals for Kenny Bolton, Obenvale Redeem. Well, as a sign, line, glide, looking to do it. Man, look at the angles that he comes at. There it is. He's made it look ever so easy. Ken Bolton, one of the masters in the saddle here this afternoon. Obenvale Redeem from Stradbroke. And we will have another full course and score through shortly.
So, Ken Bolton and Obenvale Redeem scoring a 21.33 for the cutout, a 63 were the horsework, another 4 course points. That's an 88.33 round. 88.33 for Ken Bolton, Obenvale Redeem. I tell you what, number 103, Rowan Marks, bought a truckload of these good horses once again. You got Turner Marks, a Goolagong this time. Josh Gibson, you next in. You have Acres Outlaw, and you're number 104.
Well, we wait down as we come to 103. Rowan Marks in the competition. He was our top three, or one of the top three riders in the top four placings of the two-round qualifying coming into this competition, into the semi-final. And the horse that he rides on this occasion, Turner Marks Goolagong. Makes his home in Charlwood. Needs to repeat that performance as he did in the first two opening rounds of competition, and looks like he's going to be game on as we start the proceedings in the semi-final round for Rowan Marks and Turner Marks Goolagong. First peg has been adapted quite easily. Gets into that second, push a little hard into that fence line, and our judges see it as they crack that whip, and it'll be a camp score for Rowan at 103 in the competition with Turner's Marks Goolagong.
Rowan Marks with Turner Marks Goolagong scoring a 21.33 points. 21.33 for Rowan Marks. Turner Marks Goolagong, and tell you what, competitor number 104, Josh Gibson, Acres Outlaw. And we've been talking about it most of the week here, Glenn, but without the sponsors and the event partners that we have for events like this, these events just don't happen. So a big thank you to the man in the camp at the moment. He's the man, he's the face of a Foresight. So one of the major sponsors and partners here for the Willinga this weekend is Mr. Josh Gibson, with his nomination this time in Acres Outlaw.
Well, this little horse is 15 years of age. Novice camp drafting gelding. And talking to Josh earlier this weekend, he said he's his favourite horse. He's the first horse that you catch out of the paddock to make sure he's on the truck, never leaving it home. And, oh man, he is... He's not holding back. It's grand final day. He's been in them before, and he knows what it's like. There's no place to ride for second when you're riding in grand final championship rounds. Josh Gibson, round the first and second, just ease up on out of it. Line up, take your time. Man, oh man, looking like he's kicking the goal in the grand final. Can he do it? Oh man, no wonder he was player of the year so many times in the AFL. Well, he did a grand final performance here this afternoon at Willinga. Well done, Josh Gibson from Foresight. He is going to be one to watch when we get back to the final numbers.
Well, Josh Gibson and Acres Outlaw scoring a 22 for cutout, 64 for horsework, another 4 course points. Tell you what, Josh, that's a neat 90-point round. 90 points for Josh Gibson and Acres Outlaw. In on camp now, another one that won't leave much on the table will be Mr. Scott Bandy and Rooster.
Well, here's a guy that you can never count out, Gavin. He's a guy that I've admired for probably 20, 30 years. Their family were born and raised on the back of horses. And, of course, all three brothers I've had a little bit to do with over their long and successful year in the equine industry. Riding Rooster. Now, he is a 10-year-old gelding by Conman. And Conman has certainly been the select sire of a lot of horses here this weekend. The direct progeny of some of the best camp drafting horses in Australasia. Well, Scott Bandy these days makes his home at Tooma. He's placed second in the Warwick Gold Cup on this particular gelding. He'd like to also... take a big win in the Willinga Championship round. Let's see what he can do. It's time on, and man, oh man, he's certainly got some pressure building. Well, that's unfortunately for Scott. It's going to be a camp score and a camp score only on that occasion for Scott Bandy, riding his nomination from Tooma called the Rooster.
And the Rooster scoring a 19.33 for Scott Bandy and Rooster. Unfortunately, no further points, so 19.33 is the number. In on camp now, competitor number 106, Mr. Hugh Miles, riding Auslan Pasture Fantasy. Belinda and Joel Fleming's nomination this time in Fantasy from Tamworth.
Yeah, that's right. It is Auslan Pasture's Fantasy. Novice mare by Acres Destiny out of a Doc's Freckle Oak mare. Of course, Joel and Belinda Fleming have a lot to do with the nutrient work up there in northern New South Wales around Tamworth. And, of course, that classic camp drafting competition. Good to see that... they've entrusted Hugh Miles with this particular horse, Auslan's Pasture Fantasy. And he'd be looking to get this one back to the finals for them. Of course, a lot of support from Nutrient. And I know Hugh thinks a lot of them as far as the work that they do for the camp drafting industry in northern New South Wales. We just got one steer on the course that we've got to get back to that enclosure, make things safe and sound for each and every one of our competitors as we wind down through the last 10 competitors, 9-10 contestants in our semi-final of competition. Great opportunity to thank our partners here this weekend, our naming rights sponsors in Ringers Western Wear. The principal partners are Foresight. The competition partners, Pilatus Airline Group. Major partners in Shepherds and His Way. And very special thanks to people like Ben Max, Bishops, Construction Control, ECM Livestock, and the Jackson Ranch. Just some of the partners that have made it possible throughout the 4 days here at Willinga. Okay, we're back on track. We have got Hugh Miles in the saddle and pushing to make it through to the big final tomorrow afternoon. His opportunity unfolds on Auslan Pastures Fantasy. Well, unfortunately for Hugh Miles, it's going to be contestant number 106 that'll come back with a camp score in our semi-final round with Auslan Pastures Fantasy.
And a camp score of 22 points. 22 points for Hugh Miles, Auslan Pastures Fantasy. In on camp now, competitor number 107. Pete Comiskey. I reckon he's got a shelf full of these buckles. Riding Yavin Smooth Sailing.
Well, once again, he knows at this point of time there's a lot of big numbers up, and when you're in the last 8 or 9 in the draw, you know fully well that it's no sense coming back and being 78 or 80 points in this competition. There's only one way that you'll find yourself in that top final here on a Saturday afternoon, and that's being the high 80s, early 90s. And Pete Comiskey, at this point of time, is doing a tradesman-like performance. The first and second pegs so far on track. Had to do a little bit of hard work to keep his mind on the job, keep this steer heading up towards that gate area. But one thing about these cattle, they're bending, they're making through to that gate pretty easily. Naturally bends back to the left and completes that 4-point course for Pete Comiskey and Yavin Smooth Sailing, nominated by Jay McDowell.
Pete Comiskey, Yavin Smooth Sailing, scoring 22 points for cutout, 61 for horsework, another 4 course points, 87-point round. 87 points for Pete Comiskey, Yavin Smooth Sailing. You are watching up the front of the yard right now, Charlie Hensberger with a Tango.
Well, little horse that he's on, Tango. This is a horse by Chex Alina, the sire of this little particular horse. Has been a multiple open camp draft winner in years gone by. But today, as that whip cracks in the background from our judge, Mr. Tom Williamson, it will be deemed as a camp score and a camp score only for Tango and Charlie Hensberger.
Charlie Hensberger and Tango scoring a 22.67 cutout. In on camp now, Bruce Odell. No stranger to this arena, Count Duckula. Here's your horse this time. Matt Moffat, you're next in with a Juliet.
Well, it was only a couple of years ago, I was back here in 2022, that this little horse, they won the juvenile camp draft on this little horse at Willinga. Bailey Odell rode him in 2022. He's back in the hands of Dad. He's from Malden in Victoria. And, of course, he'd be looking to put some pressure on. We've got to make it nice and tight on that first. Making him work a little overtime as he got wide on that first peg. But keeping him on course. Anything can happen in the sport of camp drafting. You'll learn to expect the unexpected. And for Bruce Odell, that whip cracks in the background. It's going to once again be a camp score for Count Duckula.
So Count Duckula scoring a 23-point cutout for Bruce Adele, and Count Duckula 23-point cutout. In on camp now, Harry Steger is competitor number 111 with Hazelwood, a Cold Chisel. Hang on, sorry, 110. Sorry, Matt, we didn't need to leave you out. Got Juliet. 110 is Matt Moffat and Juliet. Harry Steger, you're next in.
Yeah, that's correct. This guy's had more finalists here in the semis than any other contestant here this weekend. Matt Moffat with a truckload of champion little horses. This one, knowing he has cut it a little too tight. That was K and E Hanrahan's nomination. Juliet and Matthew Moffat, contestant 110, will take a camp score in this round of our competition. We're down to the final four. The final four contestants in our semi-finals of our 2024 Ringers Western Wear and Gold Buckle Championship Camp Drafting Competition. Just a reminder, the winners of this event also receives the beautiful Rawhide saddle made personally by Mr. John Bergman.
The previous score there for Matt Moffat and Juliet, scoring a 22.33 for the cutouts. We do now have a competitor number 111, Harry Steger, with Hazelwood Cold Chisel. John Mulcahy, you're next in with Stratton Guest Rosie.
Well, Harry's also had a great weekend here this weekend down from Camberwell with a truckload of horses, and most of them have finaled here this weekend. It's certainly to his credit. He's put a little work and effort into the training and developing of these young horses from right up in Camberwell. And on show here this weekend is certainly doing a mighty fine job with them. Just gets a little tough towards that second peg. Whips are cracking in the background for Harry. And it'll be Hazelwood Cold Chisel will receive a camp score here in our semi-final round.
Harry Steger and Hazelwood Cold Chisel scoring a 22 points, 22 for the cutout. In on camp now, right up the front, we have Mr. John Mulcahy with Stratton Guest Rosie.
Well, John's been another one of those guys that has just snuck through the preliminary rounds here on the Wednesday and Thursday. Backs up with a couple of nice horses here in the semi-finals of the competition. Down from Roma for this Willinga Park competition. He assisted us last night with one of our official judges in the cutout competition. Boy, oh boy, got his eye on here in the finals here this afternoon in this semi-final round. Harry Steger went out early. John Mulcahy at 112 on Stratton Just Rosie. Nominated this horse, rides him himself and presents him in tip-top condition. Well done, John Mulcahy from Roma in southeast Queensland.
So Stratton, Jess, Rosie and John Mulcahy scoring a 22 for the cutout, a 62.33 for the horsework, another 4 course points. That'll add up to a nice 88.33 round. 88.33. You're watching in on camp now. Competitor number 113, Ben Madam. Adios. One more caress.
Yeah, well, this is a little horse that's bred by that famous chestnut sire called One More Playboy. It's a 12-year-old mare, novice horse at this stage, and of course Ben riding and representing Rachel Flanagan's nomination here this weekend. Ben joins us from Bective on the outskirts of Tamworth on the western side of town. Disappointing to split that first peg. He will receive as contestant 113 a camp score and a camp score only for Adios One More Caress.
But I tell you what about the good sports? I saw the smile on his face when that cow ran back down the side of the fence there, and a 15.67. I know it wouldn't really been a smile, but there's not much more you can do in those circumstances. So in competitor number 114 now, Dean Rogers and Archie. This will be the final competitor in this round number 3, the semi-final of the Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship Camp Draft here for this year. We'll then come back to you with some scores, and then we'll carry on with some ladies' presentation and finals for that ladies' dash for cash.
Well, the little horse that we're watching on this occasion has been nominated by Sophie Parbury. The horse is called Archie. Archie is a gelding by Robin Hood out of a Playboy Roy mare. Owned and trained by Sophie Parbury herself. Has placed 5th here last season, or placed 5th here in the Willinga Gold Cup in recent times. And, of course, will be looking to establish himself into the finals this year as our final contestant in the semi-finals. Dean Rogers, contestant 114 from Bega on the south coast of New South Wales. And his job now is to line up, get that gate. It'll be a great way to finish our semi-finals. There it is, folks. What a semi-final we've seen here this year. We'll have some statistics, but as you, as our witnesses, people in the stands would see and agree, that we had as many full courses as you'd see anywhere in Australasia as far as the camp drafting fraternity is concerned. Well, it'll be a score coming through. We'll have that through from Gavin here very, very shortly for our last contestant, Dean Rogers and Archie.
So Dean Rogers and Archie scoring a 16 for cut out, a 62 for the horsework, another 4 course points. It's an 82-point round for Dean Rogers and Archie. And as we mentioned there just a moment ago, what a semi-final. I don't think you'll see one any better anywhere across the country. So thank you very much to all involved. Anybody from the gentlemen and the ladies that get the cattle ready behind the scenes weeks and months in advance of these events. So that's a taste of things to come. I tell you what, we won't miss a seat here tomorrow, Glenn.
No, that's for sure, Gavin. But please, everybody, be mindful of the fact the finalist numbers will be determined by the people well and truly above us here in the sport of camp drafting. So the finalist numbers will be posted a little later on in the program. And, of course, we will keep you posted as soon as we know on those finals numbers and the cut-off score for the top championship round that will be conducted tomorrow afternoon. Here in this arena, of course, it's the showcase event of the day. It will be the Gold Buckle Finals. Starts at around about 1:45 tomorrow afternoon.
I'll just run through their winners and place getters of that particular round there, Morg. Tell you what, you talk about high scores with a 92-point round. Mr. Peter Bolton with Nandai Destiny's Reflex. He takes out first place in that semi-final, 92-point round. I tell you, 91.67. That's how close it is, Glenn, and that will get you second place in that particular event there with Nonda, Southern Cross and Mark Buttsworth, Blue Tunes and Troy Palmer with a 91.33 points. Ben Hall and Chisholm's Cash with a 91 neat run. And Rowan Marks with Turner Marks, Sharapova with a 90.67, shared a position there with Stephen Hart's medalist with a 90.67. And I tell you what, there's another couple there with a further couple of 90s. Josh Gibson, one of our major sponsors and partners here this weekend, Acres Outlaw with a 90-point round. And Just Jack and Hugh Miles with another 90-point round. I tell you what, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a big thank you and a congratulations to the whole team and the Snow family for such an event. We'll see you here shortly back with the ladies' presentation for the finalists of the ladies' Dash for Cash.